Welcome back to the CbdMd Jaws Big Wave Championships. We've just set our men's final. Now it's time for the women's. Women's semifinal number 1 in the water with Keala Kenley, Justin DuPont, Paige Alms, Felicity Palmentier, and Skylar Lickle. 5 surfers in the water, top 3 surfers moving on to the finals. I'm Kai Guerrero, joined by a couple of big wave legends, Peter Mel and Dave Kalama.
Couple new names, so not one new name in my eyes here. Mrs. Lickle is going to be adding to the flair, but I do know the Lickle name, and Dave, I think you do as well.
Her father, Brett Lickle, one of the original strap crew members, the part of my team and gang that I ran with back in the day that, you know, was started with tow surfing up here, and now his daughter Skylar has performed at a high enough level that she's earned herself an invitation to this event, which I'm sure Brett is just beyond proud right now of what his daughter's accomplishing just by being here.
Yeah, and I think we all can be proud. Skylar Lickle, named synonymous to Maui here, and it's going to be our first time seeing her in a jersey. She's going to be in the yellow, and local, you know. And I think that, you know, when you come from Maui, I think the biggest hurdle for me is the wind element. I keep harping on it, but that's the truth of it all as we look at her.
Well, I happen to know she's a really good kiter, so her experience and her interaction with the wind will feel very natural. And this will probably seem like light wind to her, quite honestly.
And if you look too, I know that she has had some somewhat of apprenticeship from Paige. Paige has been very forthcoming with all the information to help these women and bring them up along with her and all of her hard work. I mean, the training regime that happens, you know, and just the time in the lineup. And she has been, like I said, more than gracious to be able to help these women.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. While Skylar is already accomplished a lot by being here, Paige and Keala, to mention another big name, they're not here for the fun of it. They're trying to lock this thing down and prove why they are who they are in this lineup. They are the most qualified, experienced women big wave riders we have here today, I'd say.
But in thinking about Paige Alms, our 2-time champion here at this event, she's very accomplished and very confident, and she works very hard at her trade, as well as Keala Kenley, who was the defending champion of the women's division. And here's Skylar making a move on the inside.
Just having a look, just a little window shopping right now. Not ready to buy.
But she's hitting as deep as anyone in the lineup.
She's committed to the inside, which means she wants to catch something, but it also means she's putting herself on the chopping block should a bigger set come. And
that's exactly it, right? And you see she's semi-inflated already, so there's different ways you can use these inflation vests. Matter of fact, I got hit up by Eric Thorstensen, who worked at Aqualung in developing the Quicksilver airlift vest. And he was just mentioning that, hey, you know, good to see you're working here. And one of the things that in the design that we came up with Eric is being able to self-inflate a little bit, you know. And so there's a mouthpiece, so you can actually inflate the vest just ever so slightly, so it doesn't affect your paddling, but still gives you the flotation needed. So you already have a little bit, but then also you're able to pull the tabs if needed to get the extra inflation. So you use that 35 grams of CO2 and inflate it further. But you can see she's already got a little bit of inflation going. It's a great design. You know, Patagonia has also developed their own version of theirs, Patagonia vest. And I know that they're all working at what the future is going to bring in regards to these vests. And I can't wait to see what's going to happen in the next few years.
Yeah, I mean, you look at women's big wave surfing at this point and how far it's come in a relatively short period of time. I mean, they are making monumental steps forward with, I mean, we've both seen women surfing big waves for a little while now, but never in a competitive format like this. I know at Mavericks, they've been doing it for a while.
Yes.
Andrea Moeller is probably one of the established old school crew out here. And so while they're finally getting the showcase they deserve, it has been building to this point for a little while, actually.
It has, you know, and I was lucky enough to participate in the first women's event here, and to see what the women did that very first event, I was like, oh, this is a perfect match, and they were stoked to have the platform in which to do and perform, because it's one thing to be trying to catch big waves when there's 150 hungry surfers out there, and it's a much different format when you have the best water patrol in the world, Dawn Shear over the top, and only 4 other women in the water with you, to be able to push big wave surfing to a insurmountable level because of this platform here provided by the World Surf League.
Yeah, it really is really pushing the sport forward. And I don't mean that in a men's or women's sense. I mean just purely in sport. And the support of the WSL and the development of these women right here on the screen to be willing to put themselves in this situation and chase a dream and chase a passion as committedly as the men do is fantastic to see.
Well, this is, we have yet to see a wave ridden by anyone yet. It did have a paddle by Skylar, and we'll know that these 45 minutes, I mean, especially as a competitor, they move very, very quickly. So, again, you end up getting, as a competitor, you get put into decision-making that you may not necessarily do in a free surf session because you're in a jersey.
Hey guys,
what do you got?
Send it out to the channel. We got some words on the boat. We got a couple of finalists with Dave also. Let's check it out.
Okay, instead of just telling me, let's tell the world about what it feels like to get barreled and make it into the final here at Pe'ahi.
Getting barreled at Jaws is probably one of the scariest but sickest feelings ever, because a lot of times, as round as it looks, but on the wave, it feels like you're gonna get lipped every time. So when you finally get in and get a clean one, like my first wave, I tomahawked on the face, and I was a little worried, but I managed to make one on my second wave, so I was stoked.
Congratulations on your first final here at Jaws. I'll shake your hand. And I'm gonna go over to somebody who's no stranger to the final, Mr. Billy Kemper, 3-time past champion. Walk us through your heat.
Wave by wave, just one goal at a time, get to the final, and see what happens there.
These guys are creeping me out being that calm and comfortable when it's that big out there. Gentlemen, that's why you're doing your job and I'm doing mine. Keep up the good work. We're gonna throw it back to you guys in the booth.
I love it. I absolutely love it. You see the stoke of Nathan Florence, and then you see the focus of Billy Kemper as we look. Felicity Palmentier getting a ride under her belt, charging, and she's gonna get a number. Let's take a look at it.
And Felicity in the wind, going perfectly down the face. Nicely done. And she knew it was coming. You can see for her reach for the toggle, but did the hard part. Got down the face on her backhand too, and that's so difficult here at Pe'ahi on your backhand to be going right. But look at the technique and leading with the head. It's all about the head, keeping it down, facing down, especially in this wind. The adjustment right there on the lip, sinking the opposite rail that she would have liked to have done to get, and then transferring it back to the inside rail. Nicely done there by Felicity, but I did see on that pickup a very common sign on someone that has been beat pretty well, the head down and going to the channel. So let's hope that she's okay.
Yeah, you're right though. In regards to her technique, fully committed. Right? In that situation, it's so easy to get hesitant for a split second, which means you're going to come to the tail of your board more, which is almost disaster every time. She stayed forward, she stayed low, she stayed forward again.
But it's leading with the head though, but that's how important it is.
And you saw her try and control how she was going to dismount, and she reached up, pulled on the toggle to inflate, and exited under her initiation.
Well, a 4-point ride for Felicity Palmentier. Again, we have a unique judging situation here. We take that 4-point ride, we take the high number and we double it. So that is going to be an 8 at the score line for Felicity Palmentier. Also looking at our judging criteria, which is unique to our big wave events as well, Pete.
Massive, massive set. You can see the women sitting just in the middle of the peak there, a big north set. This next one is massive. See if anyone can get themselves in position to line it up, because it looks like
At
one
this
of the
point,
bigger
just
waves.
getting out over it, I think, would be oh, they're way on the end of it. I see what's going on.
They're positioned well, in my eyes, for this first beginning stages of the scene.
Yep.
You would not want to have been caught by that one there. As you get to see, how many gallons of water do you think are coming out of that spit? Thousands? Hundreds of thousands?
Gajillions.
Millions of gallons.
Millions and millions.
But I mean, it spits, and it spits, you know, 50, 60 yards out into the channel.
When we talk about water, guys, think about a cubic foot of water. It weighs about 60 pounds. Now, how many cubic feet of water do you think is in a Jaws wave? And then times that by 60 pounds. And the weight of this wave is incredible, Peter.
It would power the islands and probably the west coast of the U.S. if you could harness it in some way, shape, or form, and people are trying.
Yeah, the amount of power is enough to catapult you to hero or zero, depending upon where you are relative to that water.
You just watch this spit here, just gouging out. Excuse me for that, doesn't sound exactly how it sounds, but
Sounded like one of Kai's bean burritos.
oh,
Looks
wow.
like here comes something a little more westy that might be in play.
So Felicity here. Looks like a quick change, trying to get this vest off to help. As a matter of fact, it looks like there's a transfer going on here. Trying to analyze. I mean, that is
Definitely some kind of wardrobe change going on.
well, it looks like to me that there's actually a change in vest. They're going to transfer it there because for some reason the vest there may have had it can't deflate. And that's a critical element. I mean, if you've got a suit that won't deflate, yeah, she can't paddle around with it as a beach ball. So she's gonna be trading it out. And most likely putting on a different vest.
Something kind of dark on the screen there over to the right side.
Oh yeah, and of course when the women start, the biggest sets of the day start to make it in there. That's always the case. And see if Paige or Keala can get themselves in position. And definitely.
Look at that wave, Pete. That's the real deal right there.
Again, the wardrobe change happening very quickly here. I mean, you think about the time, that was about 2.5 minutes, maybe 3 max. So the team working diligently to get her set. And I don't think that was something you would have anticipated, right? Is it the fact that your vest would malfunction and you had to completely change out a vest and get a new vest on?
And thankfully, she had someone there that she could change with. So kudos to her support team.
And she's
to
coming
be
all
there
the way.
when she needed it, because there's no way you're paddling back over to the lineup without that piece of equipment.
No, not these days. It would be foolish.
So we've still got 30 minutes. She's got enough time to get the new vest on, get herself back over there. If she can keep her nerves in check and just keep being quick about it but not rushing, and maintain that mindset that there's an ounce of calmness somewhere in there to kind of allow you to make good decisions, because she's going to have to make some decisions here coming up real soon.
Yeah, and again, that's a teammate there. Look at it, completely helping out off the sled and making this a very quick change. I mean, literally, she's changing her whole outfit in the water.
All right.
All right, 28 minutes, 21 seconds, and Felicity Palmatier, after that break in the channel, still in the lead. No other waves being ridden so far.
That's a great point, Hypo. All the time she's spent in the channel dealing with her inflation vest has cost her nothing in terms of points from the other competitors at this point.
So actually, she's actually in a good position. She can take her time right now because we have a little bit of a lull, a couple more lines coming through here potentially, but the early charging of Felicity Palmentier could very well pay off.
And the adrenaline that is coursing through her body right now, it is like no other. It's the reason why we do it. I mean, she got her first wave, she got her poundings done, right? She had the feeling of the wipeout and all of that. She had the thrill of the drop to get down the face on her first wave, knowing that it's possible. And all of that's just gonna be influx through your body, pulsing through your body. And she can't help herself but hurry because she wants to get back out there and get more.
Here we got a paddle. Paige arms up and decides to pull out. She will get a small score because she did get to her feet.
Well, and she better get herself to the corner because there's another wave behind this one. So look at her paddling hard, kicking the feet, doing everything she can. She may have to bail here.
I'm putting...
Oh, super paddler.
Over.
Whoa!
Oh, by the hair.
Now that's going to put Paige in the danger zone.
Did she get sucked back over?
Yeah, it looked like it to me. You can see the water safety's on it. She did go over.
Watch it from
Yes,
Paige arms.
just broke the surface.
Just got up under the water.
That's key.
And
to be
grabbing. This is going to be a quick
Go, go, go,
rescue
go.
here.
Go, 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 go. And she's dragging her board, too. She got pulled off. That's the risk of not having that quick release in that situation, is that you do have the anchor tied to your foot, and it will rip you off the sled.
She came back to the surface pretty quickly there, keeping a watchful eye on Paige Alms. Two-time winner out here. Water safety team going for the pickup.
Well, it looks like we've got 3 to 4 skis monitoring the inside, but we do have a set coming on the outside, which means the safety team that's in zone 1, I think it was, needs to be on their toes right now, because it looks like these surfers are going to be in position.
Excellent work by our water safety team, by the way, as the women start to scramble for the shoulder.
They have to get over the top.
Oh, barely making it, Justine Dupont.
Right? I mean,
I feel like I need breath-holding exercises just in the booth, or holding my breath for these women. Oh my God.
Yeah, just some oxygen. I mean, this was good times there. Look,
what a dramatic scene.
I'm on my feet, Dave. I can't get enough of this. Again, zone 1 team moving in.
And our heat leader still, Felicity Palmentier. Take her time in the channel. She still has a strong lead over the rest of the pack currently, but our water patrol, our water safety, very, very busy at this moment, Peter.
Yeah, right there again, trying to get on the sleds. It's so challenging. I mean,
we talked about the drill, the 3-second drill. You got to get in position. You got to get your hand up. You went through the whole process.
But again, you just got punched in the mouth, right? You did. Tyson. So the decision, you know, it's understanding it and going, okay, I got 3 seconds. But when you've been knocked, you know, you're incoherent and you're fatigued. It's really hard to get a grab on it. Everything's happening and bouncing up and down. But nice work by our water patrol to get all of the women out of there safely to the channel.
Excellent.
We do have some scores that actually posted as well.
Got a couple fractional scores, so 0.17 for Justine Dupont and a 0.4 for Paige Alms. Again, a really strong lead by Felicity Palmentier. 24 minutes on the countdown here, and the waves continue to be ultra consistent in the first semifinal for the women's here at the CbdMd Jaws Big Wave Championship.
And Dave, you had mentioned about, you know, looking at the way this swell is kind of unfolding as we look at the, again, this is the team that have been working, and there's actually lifeguards on the shoreline as well, as you've got swimmers, you've also got drivers, and then you've got medical boats, and you've got helis. I mean, we've got it all covered. The best tool in the shed, all of them. You got to use them all.
And while you might have all those tools, unfortunately, when you're underwater, none of that matters. It's all up to you. But knowing all of that support is there on the surface gives you a lot of confidence to just go, I just need to get back to the surface, and then I've got people there to help me. And that can make or break the level of confidence that you need to survive those kind of beatings.
Quick paddle there by Kayala.
I mean, Imagine standing at the bottom of a mountain and a giant avalanche is coming in at you and go, I think I got this. I'm going to wrestle this avalanche and see how it goes. What an intimidating view being inside of one of these monster whitewaters. When I say monster, we're talking 30 foot, 40 foot of pure whitewater.
And the energy it's carrying, that it's moved across the Pacific at 25, 30 miles an hour, and it's turning, chewing rocks and sand up off the bottom, and it's coming at you. It is a daunting sight, and that's that worst case scenario, is when you see that dark green water and you're inside and you know it's going to land on you. That whole Zen-like approach of take that breath out and then a huge breath in.
As we look at Paige Alms and the challenge here at Jaws, how does she deal with fear? We asked her.
I think as I get older, the fear factor is coming on stronger. Like I was talking about it this morning, like my first session out at Pe'ahi paddling, I don't think I was nearly as scared as I was yesterday when it was 10 to 12 feet. I think knowing now how heavy that wave is, and I think maybe not knowing is a good thing. But I'm trying to figure out like what it is that that kind of calms that fear down, because it's always there for me. I'm honest about it. I talk about it in the lineup. I'm like, this is scary, but you have to pursue and get through that in order to turn around and whip and go for a wave.
There's the words of how she contains the fear. Paige Alms, Dave.
Situational awareness. You should be afraid.
Yeah,
That's dangerous. That's legit. That can rock your world like nothing else can. And to be afraid of it tells me she's smart. Because when you're aware of it, when you're smart and you recognize it, you prepare for it. And when you're young, you're not as aware.
It's true.
And you don't take those extra steps to prepare for it because you've got denial working for you and you have lack of experience, right? Which can be a dangerous thing. But as you get older, and she just mentioned it right there, you mature, you become more wise, you have that situational awareness and how to prepare for it.
Sometimes you have more stuff at stake, right, Pete? Did it change for you as a big wave rider with the birth of your son?
I would like to say it did, but it took me a while afterward. I mean, because there was 10 days after John was born.
You were still going for it.
It was one of the biggest swells we had ever had at Mavericks, and I mean, that October was a huge rush as I watched the birth of my child and then rode some of the biggest waves I've ever ridden at Mavericks. So, but at the same token, though, that situational awareness, the wisdom, I wasn't doing things that were reckless because I was in that denial and thinking that nothing was going to happen. There's an acceptance of the fear, and that acceptance of the fear allows you to have the preparation and to find those tools that are going to allow you to be relaxed when you have a situation like that big wall of whitewater coming at you, and what you need to do in order to do that, and be confident that that training you've done is going to work out.
We'll be waiting for more giant waves, big walls of whitewater. We'll take a break, but we'll be back with more from Pe'ahi at the CbdMd Jaws Big Wave Championships. those were some of the views from our opening ceremony here at the CbdMd Jaws Big Wave Championship. The Hawaiian blessing. We call it a pule, a prayer, and that blessing. We also do a oli, or a chant, as an opening protocol to ask permission to do what we do here at Pe'ahi. And that was beautifully done right here on the cliffside where our judges are and where our broadcast is coming from for an epic day at Jaws of Big Wave Riding. I'm Kai Pagura along with Peter Mel and Dave Kalama for the call. This is semifinal number 1 for the women.
Already had Felicity Palmatier very early in this heat pick up that 4-point ride. The first successful ride for the women in semifinal number 1. And here we go.
Keala Kenley dropping into this one, and a little ejection there for Kenley, but she will get credit for that drop and likely go into second place.
That's the part you had touched on, Dave, earlier about the backsiders getting low to their boards. We saw Lukashenko do it. We saw Koa Rothman do it. This was a little bit extended for Keala, and that's why Keala, she got extended, and as soon as she hit that bump, being extended and standing upright, tall, she wasn't able to absorb that first bump, so she ended up getting bucked off.
Yeah, standing tall tends to put you more on your heels too, which means you're more susceptible to being bucked off or to losing your balance.
I mean, she's trying to stay low here, and that's the extension happening, and then that rail digs, knocks her off balance. So quickly down for Keala Kenley, but the second highest number, she got down halfway down the face, so earned a 1.27.
And more importantly, she's broken the ice. You know what I mean?
Very similar to what we saw from Felicity.
Sometimes
right?
you just need to take a swing at a pitch and just get those jitters and those butterflies out of the way, so now you can kind of get down to business.
Felicity coming out of Western Australia, very accomplished. You know, we've got many big wave riders coming out of Australia, and a lot of them coming off the West Coast. You know, the Patterson brothers over the years, you know, Mitch Thorson, all these surfers that are very comfortable in the big water and the wind. So Felicity is able to utilize some of the stuff that she's learned at home.
And here's what she's learned.
And this was interesting to me because she was definitely looking at that being a right, but when she got up, the rail transferred to the inside rail, which is her left. See right here, she gets up, she wants to go right, but then that little bounce puts her on the inside rail, which really she was able to control very nicely, and then flattens the board out, starts to transfer to that inside rail now, but at that point, a little bit too late. Not going to get down the face, so here takes and braces as she goes in. See that, the toggles were pulled.
Yeah.
As she was jumping off, she was already on those toggles for the inflation vest, and now she's back out in the lineup.
I think she actually did a double-handed pull, and that's one thing too, is that you get there and you're in these situations and you train for all of this to happen over and over again, but once you get your hand on a toggle, you're ripping out each and every one of them. You know, you're trying to do the Macarena, just get to the, get a hand on a toggle.
Yeah, hey, nice work by the camera crew too to get us into that white, literally into the whitewater with her, and see that hand reach up in that mist to grab that. Great work.
How fun is this, Dave?
Can we do this every day?
I don't know if I can handle it, but it'd be pretty cool.
What do you mean you do this every day?
This week, that's for sure. This week's been full of it. Considering we went from the World Cup, had to see Jack Robinson put on a performance at that Vans World Cup of surfing that we've never seen before at Sunset Beach. Got a performance that really put him onto the 2020 Championship Tour, and then roll into the Pipeline Invitational. And watching Billy Kemper take a win there, straight into the Billabong Pipe Masters, the third jewel of the Vans Triple Crown. It has been an action-packed month of surfing, and it's not going to stop anytime soon.
It's been the greatest week of surf competition that I can.
I'm claiming month. We're going to go, year now. Let's do the whole thing.
You know what? I agree with you, because when we include the Vans Triple Crown of surfing and what epic waves we had at the Hawaiian Pro, as well as the Vans World Cup of surfing, not to mention the Lululemon Maui Pro that we had for the women and crowning a world champ, and seeing the triumphant return of Tyler Wright So many stories. That's not over yet. We're still writing the book.
And I think the biggest part of the stories were the waves. You know, I mean, obviously the performances are a big part, but the performances are going to be there whether the waves are there or not, right? The waves came to the party this year, which is something that we work on to try and put, you know, the end of the season in the winter months, in the times of the years that you're going to get the best waves. We try to extend these waiting periods to 10 days to be able to fulfill those 4 days of surfing. So we do everything we can to get the highest quality waves.
Well, Kanaloa has been very generous to us. That is the Hawaiian god of the ocean. And Kanaloa has been very generous this winter because we started back in September with tons of swells, and it has not stopped. And we look at our friends at Surfline, and they're even projecting more in the forecast throughout the rest of this month. It's
something to be said about the poules, right?
Yeah.
You know, ask for permission, because there is some stronger powers out there that you sometimes need to, you know.
Ask for permission before you come in the house or before you put your hand in a cooler.
Straight to pigeon.
Before you put your hand in a cooler, ask for permission.
Yes, sir.
So many good.
No problem. And take your slippers off before you go in.
Always.
Good advice, Michael. Good advice. That'll get you a long way in Hawaii.
It will.
And a little respect shown in the lineup.
All right, here we got some waves coming and the repositioning by the women. We saw Keala Kenley on the hustle there, getting into position, but it looks like it's going to be Felicity Palmentier. No. Justine DuPont up and cannot get down the wave face. Kenley and hurls the nose. Charging, though.
So that's the second time we've seen this board grab the nose, and sometimes it might be the length.
Well, with the wind the way it is changing, and there's a real variability to the water surface. And what you might see 1 second has either doubled or isn't even there 1 second later because of that variation in those wind chops crossing each other, pulling the water apart, pushing it together. There's so much variability going on that even though you're looking at it and anticipating what's coming, it changes so quickly. Sometimes you can't anticipate, and putting your nose underwater like Keala just did is the result of it sometimes.
Well, that go for it attitude for Keala Kenley paid off in a title here last year, 2018. Let's look at Keala Kenley and her performance here at Jaws just last year.
And remember, the wind and the waves were pumping once again, and Keala, no fear. I mean, there's a shot of her on that wave there. Even though she paid the price, she did everything she could to get down the face, but that bravery earned her a title. As you see again, that connecting, almost had that one. But it's so fun to watch the women charge out here. And there's a ton of young women who are going to be participating here, waiting to see Skylar get her first wave. Oh, that one was a nasty wipeout. But Keala, I have seen one of the best barrels ever ridden at Chopo, and it was done by Keala Kenley. I mean, it was a tow surf wave on a massive, massive 15 to 20 foot day, and she pulled in so deep. I'm like, oh no, she's way too deep, and ended up just getting spit out, ended up winning a double XL award for that best barrel. And the best barrel, it's not a gender women's best barrel, it's everybody best barrel, and she won.
It's the human best barrel.
Yes.
That's impressive. That's impressive. And speaking to her last year's performance and even into this year, go down 6, get up 7. Whatever the number is, you get up one more time than the number of times you get knocked down. And if anybody is aware of what they are dealing with and willing to get back up and go another round, it's Keala. And like you said, I don't care, man, woman, it doesn't matter. You got to tip your hat to that lady and how courageous and tough, just tough she is.
Yeah, that's true.
KK, she was the 2018 champion this heat. We also have the 2017 champion, the 2016 champion away by Paige Jom. So this is a loaded semifinal number 1.
It is, and it's all done by seeding, you know, done by the past championships and so forth. So we remember Paige didn't finish as high as she usually does in the final last year. So Keala is the number 1 seed here. And you talked about the toughness, but Keala, we remember she actually carried that same type of demeanor on the championship tour when she was there, as she was one of the best for a very long time, and then transferred that tour bit into the big wave riding realm, and here she is, defending champion. Great shot of actually the wind ribs that are coming across the face, and those are 2 to 3 foot ribs coming across the face there, so it definitely adds a very daunting element to this paddling.
Well, it's not just the wind chop. You can, I mean, that's obvious. You can see those coming at the camera. But as you can also see, it's all cliff line through this area. And so that means the waves bouncing off the cliffs, the wind swell bouncing off the cliffs. You've got multiple angles of refraction going on, interacting with those wind swells. And that was part of what I was talking about earlier. Things just pop up out of nowhere when you have those different direction refracting swells coming back into the lineup, and it just makes it so difficult to negotiate getting down the face, like we've seen with Keala a couple times now.
Skylar taking a look at that one. Under 7 minutes, 6 minutes 50 seconds counting down here. Felicity Palmentier looking for her place in the final, along with KK Keala Kentley. Paige Alms is above the cut line right now in 3rd place. Top 3 surfers moving on into the final.
How's that little rainbow factory right there? Just and that's just from the wave spray. You know, it's blue sky, clear, but with every wave, all that spray coming off from the wind is creating those little rainbows.
Oh, we love it. Anue nue, the Hawaiian word for rainbow, and something that we have a lot of in the islands. Almost every day you can see a rainbow.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think there's many places in the world that produce as many rainbows as it does here in Hawaii.
We're the rainbow factory.
Looks like I just saw a nose spin around to the inside. No, just a little more window shopping.
That's Skylar again. Again, how old do we know Skylar is?
She's almost the same age as my son. He's 21. I'm going to put her at about 19, maybe 20.
Again,
as an uncle, I should know that. Sorry, Shannon, that's her mom. I should know that.
5 minutes 40 seconds on the countdown, and any wave ridden right now can change the situation and change the surfers that are going to move on into the final. It's been a big day of surfing here at the CbdMd Jaws Big Wave Championship. A lot of stories, a lot of wave surf, a lot of carnage, a lot of broken boards, and a lot of great water safety by our team out there, Peter.
It's so true. And when we were developing this event on the Big Wave Tour, we'll get back to that.
Keala Kentley, and she's gonna go over on that one and all the way down.
The mine shaft.
Speaking of our water safety team, they are gonna be head on a swivel and be looking for Keala Kentley, as we are as well.
Well, she sent it again. She's not holding back.
You can see the positioning and where she is sitting too. She's just underneath the the pack and inside, so she's giving herself more opportunities by sitting there, but at the same time, she puts herself in harm's way. But I mean, she did everything right there. She didn't get the release out of the lip, so rather than get stuck in the lip, you jump away from it. I mean, I know it is a bit of a cliff dive, but technique-wise, we've seen it work. Oh, look at
catching
this.
up with Felicity Palmentier, going for it.
Wow. Committed. Very committed. And making it to the bottom again.
Yes, and on the big wave, a major set wave. So she definitely wants to participate in a huge way in this heat. Again, you see the technique there, always coming up. That's Keala. I mean, but every time you're taking those lickings, it is so challenging to get onto that sled. It feels like you could never do it.
She's got to be taxed. You can see she's just holding on for dear life right there. It doesn't even look like she's trying to climb up on.
It's hard,
There she goes. There she goes.
Broken board, is that what that looks like?
Yeah, it looks like that board's
maybe
creased.
Still
that rocker
connected.
Right.
Got that new variable rocker adjustment on them. I don't know. No, that might still be in one piece, actually.
Yeah. Felicity on the pickup now. Again, same technique.
Left arm up. And Felicity right on the back of the sled, but minus a surfboard.
Yeah, so she looks like she has lost that equipment, which always can be a bit of a challenge, especially after what her makes. You know, it looks like that board was working very well for her.
More sets on the way. Skylar Lickle in the yellow jersey, taking a spin, taking a look at it. Right behind that, an even bigger second wave of the set. Two minutes and 20 seconds. And our water safety continues to work away in the channel. Red Bull skis in effect. Here's
Look at
Felicity's
this.
wave.
I love how she's able to get to her feet nice and early. I don't see anything that went wrong in that moment.
Well, she's nice and low.
Oh, she went over a bit of a bump right there.
Yeah,
That was a big...
it's that wave before and the chatter that come out of the boils that come up from the white water.
Oh,
I think had she stayed in the clear water,
Ejection.
Keala.
And at this point, luckily, her cord was long enough to allow her to get there and penetrate. But look at the surfboard coming behind her. Just so scary, because those can be very heavy. Got sharp fins on it.
Little moonwalk in there.
Minute 25 on the countdown, and all the numbers are in. Felicity Palmentier at 3.9 for her last wave. She's in a strong lead. Kiala Kenley with 1.27 and a 1 point ride. That 1.27 we doubled. And Paige Alm still above the cut line in third place with just a minute remaining.
And I know we've only got a minute left, but I would love to see Paige at least give herself a chance and just send it on one.
You see she's in the white jersey, Skylar in the yellow. Justine DuPont, I mean, she ends up having two waves, Justine does. But both of those scores just barely to her feet, the .27 and the .17, or the difference being the .4 for Paige Alms. I mean, she literally got out of her feet and just kicked out. In her mind, she's probably thinking, I don't know if I'm going to be making this heat, but right now she's in that third position, and if she holds on for this next 30 seconds.
Sky's in far enough that if she turns, oh, no, she just needs to get under this at this point.
Skylar trying to get on the other side of that crashing lip. It looks like she was successful in that bailout, Dave.
It does. Thank goodness.
We're down to the countdown to make it official with our first three finalists here for the women. It is going to be Felicity Palmentier, Kiala Kenley, and Paige Alms earning their place in the final.
Okay.
Women's semifinal number 2 on the way when we return. back in Piahi. Semifinal number 2 for the women's at the CbdMd Jaws Big Wave Championship. Kai Figueroa along with Peter Mel and Dave Kalama for the call, and we are into the semifinal number 2. Top 3 surfers moving on into the final to meet Felicity Palmentier, Kiala Kenley, and Paige Alms.
Well, it looks like Piahi's not going away. It's providing plenty of opportunity. That drop-off they were talking about doesn't really appear to be the case. No. It's still, while it might not be super consistent, there is still some solid surf coming in. I mean solid.
Yeah, well, there you go. There's the image right there on your screen. We saw that major set come in the very beginning of semifinal number 1. Got a new heat underway. Emily Eriksson, good to see her back in a jersey here. Had a major injury at this event. Bianca Valente from my hood up there in San Francisco. Raquel Heckert from Brazil. Annie Reichert from Hawaii. And then Michaela Frigonis. And I'm sorry for Michaela if I am mispronouncing your last name, Frigonis, but from Brazil. So Michaela and Annie, some youngsters that we have yet to hear, and we get to see their performances first time here at Piahi.
Yeah, Annie's the local girl here from Maui that is foiling. I mean, she's almost the female version of Kai Lenny in a sense. Full multi-sport, wind aspect, foiling, a very accomplished stand-up paddler, channel crossings, a true water woman. And at the age of 18, I think it is. So got a really bright future ahead of her.
I think you think about why Maui as a location to kind of really see where, you know, water persons come from, right? You know, as a surfer here, you wouldn't surf every day if that's all you did, right? You have to find other ways to get in the water.
Hey guys, I like the story, and you guys probably know Emily Eriksson's father really well. The story of Emily Eriksson. She's out there in the red jersey. Her dad, Roger Eriksson, a former Eddie Aikau invitee, big wave rider. Can you tell us a little bit about him, Peter?
Well, Roger was another one of those guys that came out of that era of the pioneering of big wave realm. Roger, living on the North Shore, he actually spent some time in our hood in Santa Cruz, and you know, anywhere there was good waves, Roger would be there to be found. So this is the offspring of that DNA. And we've seen Emily, she is going to ride a very traditional style. And this board she has under her feet is one of her favorites. You can see how brown the nose is. This board has gotten her through many, many waves, and it is a single fin. It will be the only single fin you'll find in this event, but she loves it. And she's had some boards that made that look like it, but anytime that we see her in a big wave event, this is the board that has kept her on the biggest and best waves.
You know, you mentioned single fin and the only one in the event, and the first thing that kind of popped into my mind is why use a single fin when everyone else is using quads or thrusters? And the answer is actually quite simple when I thought about it for a second. She trusts it.
That's exactly it.
She believes in it, and that's going to give her the best chance of success.
We just saw a paddle for Black Annie Reichert, and we caught up with her early to find out more about her feelings of competing here at Jaws.
You know, there are waves out there, and I think they all want another chance to go and prove that, you know, this is completely doable and it's a 100% achievable goal. And so, yeah, I think there is something left on the table, kind of, and there is something that they want to go out there and prove, because they are capable of surfing in those conditions, and they are capable of surfing waves at Jaws. We don't even know how well and crazy. So it's going to be really exciting, you know, not only for me to be able to watch, but hopefully also to be a part of and just kind of see how far the level is going to be pushed after such an iconic contest last year. You know, not only in the contest, but just kind of, you know, this next big wave season. It's going to be really incredible to watch.
Big opportunity on a giant platform for Annie.
And she seemed very confident. She wanted a piece of this in a big way, and she's gotten her chance. So this is the platform. This is, again, where you talk about the platform. It's not only to showcase the talents, but it's also the best platform, the safest platform in regards to you've got your own lineup with your peers, and you've got the best water safety team. You've got Don Shear in the heli. You've got medical boats. So, I mean, if you're going to have an opportunity to really push your own big wave realm, this is the place.
Yeah, and regardless of the result today for Annie, the experience she's going through right now is invaluable. It just is going to help her. Whoa. We were talking, I kind of got distracted by the size of that last wave. It is still legit.
It's still, yeah, it is. 35, 45 foot on the face and top to bottom, wind blowing. It is, it's the best TV you could possibly ask for.
And you know what? Back to what I was saying a second ago. The experience you get from just being in the lineup when it's like this is going to raise the level of your expectation and your surfing. And when you get back to an 8 to 10 foot day that might have been slightly intimidating, all of a sudden seems a lot more playful and friendly than it did before this experience. So even if they don't perform to the level they want to right now, it will raise their level of performance.
Yeah, totally agree. And it already has, you know, by providing these couple heats here. You know, there's some experiences that have happened. Emmy Erickson's a prime example. You know, she went on a massive wave. She ended up having a knee injury that was, but came out of it training stronger, understanding her body and her fitness, and you know, noting she wanted it again, and she's back here.
Well, Emmy Erickson and her single fin out there last year had the single highest wave score, okay, in the women's final. And that's one of the reasons now that we have that in-water marshal, because she came in last year saying that she didn't know she only needed a 1-point ride to win the whole thing. She's not going to make that same mistake again, I think.
And being that that's the communication level needs to be out there, and now it's all provided. You know, the bullhorn and you know, because you can't, even with the marshal out there, it's still tough to get information.
36 minutes and 55 seconds on the countdown. The women waiting for the next set to arrive here on the reef at Pe'ahi, at Jaws.
Lots of time to psych yourself up or psych yourself out.
It's so true. It is absolutely true, Dave, because, I mean, that's the part of the competition. You know, there's a line in your mind, there's a line to get over the ledge, there's all these things that you're pushing up to or over, and one of those comes into the mental capacity of not psyching yourself out.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. Being a big wave surfer doesn't mean you're the most talented surfer. It means you are willing to push it beyond, to commit to a level that most people aren't willing to, right? And so what does that mean? That means it's mostly mental. It means you have the mentality of a big wave surfer, and you hear that from time to time. Because there's more talented surfers in the world, but not everyone's willing to step up and go over the edge.
Peter actually, we're good friends for a long time, and Peter actually made it really clear to me. This was years ago. I don't know if you remember this, Pete, but I said, I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you go out to Waimea. I think you were paddling out to Waimea. And he said, and you said, Peter, you said, Kaipo, hold your breath for 25 seconds. And I held, and Peter said, well, see, you could do it too. It's just in your head. You have the skill to do it. You can do it, but you just have to want it and to be able to be calm enough to do it. And the light went off in my head like, whoa, maybe I could be a big wave surfer, but...
And you ordered a board and everything, huh?
No, I did not. That is my excuse, my friend. No 9.6s in my quiver.
Look at this, the lineup, and see how you see the spacing there. Look at where Bianca is sitting. She has put herself deep in the lineup, you know, right there, a good 25 yards further in and over. So you can see Bianca has put herself in the best place to catch one of those bigger waves.
Well, you got to figure she's come anywhere from hundreds to thousands of miles to get here, right? Why not go the last 25 yards?
It's so true.
All the way.
Yeah, Bianca Valenti, she's works in her family's restaurant, an Italian restaurant. She's a server. She has a real 9-to-5 job, but her passion, big wave surfing.
Yeah, it's absolutely true, and she's very talented at it. I've watched her catch some massive waves at Mavericks, and it's been a joy to watch. Always great energy, this year. She was able to make it over to the ceremony to get that invite in the Eddie Cow. So here she is in the CbdMd Jaws Big Wave Championships, and she wants a win. You know, she's seen Paige win, she's seen Kayala win. So this is the platform where she wants to be crowned that champion, and she has the talent to do it.
And you know what, I mean, I hate harping on the mentality of it, but it is such a mind sport, right?
100%.
And some of the girls like Skylar and Annie, it's enough just to be here. Not for everyone. There's people trying to win here today, and that takes on a whole different level of commitment and strategy and preparation, and just on down the line of committing to putting yourself out there. And quite honestly, that means you have to fail. Sometimes your hardest failures are what give you the tools and the knowledge to become a winner.
And Dave, you can't half paddle for these waves. When you decide to spin it, what do you have to do?
There's only one speed. Once you flick the switch, it's on, period. 100%, no looking back, no doubt, no hesitation, because that's what gets you in trouble. The slightest bit of hesitation is almost guaranteed going to end in disaster. So even though you're committed, there's no guarantee you're going to make it either, but you give yourself the best chance. So when that flick, or when that switch gets flicked, it's all in.
Bianca Valenti taking a little paddle, taking a little look at that wave with 32 minutes and 25 seconds ticking down. Positioning, shuffle out in the lineup between our 5 surfers.
You know, another tactic some of these women might want to consider is, if they're going to play the shoulder game a little bit, the left is almost a more consistent placed wave you can ride. The right seems to be moving in and out more. But if you're just literally trying to get yourself up and on a wave, you might want to go over to the left, because it seems to be consistently braking in a specific spot. Now, the ride potential, the scoring potential is not going to be as high, I think. But at this stage, getting up and riding could be all you need.
31 minutes, 25 seconds counting down. Semifinal number 2. We'll be back with more here from the CbdMd Jaws Big Wave Championship. Back in Peahi, Maui for the CbdMd Jaws Big Wave Championships. We got women's semifinal number 2 out in the water. Top 3 surfers moving on into the final. I'm Kaipogura. I'm joined by a couple of big wave riders, Peter Mel, Dave Kalama. We've been talking about water safety, equipment, the challenges of riding a big wave, both mentally and physically, all day. We've seen outstanding performances, brutal wipeouts, and a ton of surfboards just ending their run. We've had broken boards, I'm going to say a count about 15 or so, Pete.
Got up to 15. I think you're right. I mean, we've seen plenty go into the rocks. We talked about Ian Walsh has gone into the rocks. We've seen broken boards, Nick Lamb's boards. Everyone's had a couple broken boards. We have yet to see the women, any of their boards break, but that doesn't mean that there's not 15 already. Critical losses.
Oh,
Don't want to see big wave boards go to waste.
Well, Dave, we said pay to play, and there's been payment for the big wave playing.
Yeah, I mean, I got to recognize they're starting out a bit conservative, and I think that's smart because if you've seen some of the sets come in, you do not want to pay that price right now. We are running downtime in the heat. Well, we still got nearly half an hour, so they can be patient still. They can eke their way over slowly and hopefully end up catching a wave because there are still plenty of sets coming in. But boy, getting caught inside at this point and breaking your board, having to be taxed with that much energy exerted could really.
I'm going to go back to what you had said.
I was just going to tell the people who we are. Peter Mel, Dave Kalama, I'm Kaipo Guerrero, and this is the CbdMd Jaws Big Wave Championships.
You were touching on the fact that they've been watching already some of the carnage that's happened. Some of the winded men coming out of the water and seeing that, and that can almost be a detriment in a way. Having to watch all that all the time and then go into the lineup and actually go out there and execute. So those butterflies, they're growing as that day has kind of been unfolding. And the only surfer that I really saw that was able to tack that on straight out of the gates was Felicity Palmatier. I mean, and she ended up getting the 2 best waves we've seen so far. And now, Emmy.
As we were expecting, Emily Eriksson on that unique throwback equipment, single fin. She's going to get a score. She's going to take the lead, Pete.
And I love their style. You see, she's got that knock knee, really elegant, beautiful style that she's carried, and very similar to Roger, had a very beautiful style to his surfing. So great work there by Emmy Eriksson to get those butterflies away now, and I think that's going to be very helpful for her getting a completed ride done.
You said a word I don't associate with modern surfing that much anymore, and that's style. I love seeing surfers with style, and if you can incorporate that into high performance surfing, I love it even more. But style almost seems to be becoming a secondary objective in surfing now, and it's more about the mechanics of the performance and the maneuvers themselves. And style to me is a interwoven connection from move to move with a certain elegance to it, right?
And grace, and almost in a way a dance.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're putting on this performance. It's like a dance on the wave. And Emmy's been one of those surfers that she has such great, elegant style, and she's always had it.
And that's not to say I don't want to see performance surfing. I do. I'm like everybody else. I love seeing really progressive surfing. But boy, if you can have that element of style to it, I think that's what can separate you. And speed too, obviously.
Or even just an embracing of all of it, right?
Yeah.
Having that style, but still having a very stylish Air 3 that you've got, right? And
right.
There is some surfers out there with a very steezy attempt at air reverses, which is high performance surfing. But even in big wave surfing, there is a lot of styles that you can see, and Emmy's got a very unique one to her.
And you might have just successfully moved yourself back into the next generation of millennials with one word, Pete. Steezy.
From the style and steezy, right? So they're basically the same thing.
Well done.
You're looking at 25 minutes here. One wave ridden there for Emmy Eriksson with the 1.83. We do double the highest wave each and every heat, so occasionally you'll see a score. You're like, whoa, that was we say it's a 1.83, but it is double. The second scoring ride will be just that, a scoring ride, so you get judged on your top 2. But in big waves, we want to reward that element of that biggest and best wave because you know, sometimes you'll be out there and you may only ride one of those biggest and best waves, but you should be rewarded for it and get through heats. So we want to say that a 10 will beat 2 7s. So 10, yeah, is that the right math? Yes.
A 10 is better than a 7. I think you did it right. No. I had the opportunity to speak with Paige just a couple days ago, and I brought up kind of what seems to be playing out here a little bit. Taking off and sending it, but without completion, versus a smaller wave, but completing it. What do you reward higher? You know, and I'm a little more traditional. I like to see the completion, but I love the fact that they're pushing as hard as they are, and you should be rewarded for going for it.
We've been talking about Emmy Eriksson's board, and Dave Wassel, he's got some insight on it out on the boat. What's up, Dave?
What's up, guys? How's it going? Yeah, got a little bit of information from Emily Eriksson. She passed by me earlier. I said, Emily, isn't that the same board you were riding last year? She said, yes, that's the same board I've been riding for 8 years. You talked about commitment, you talked about confidence. Emily Eriksson has both of them, riding a 10-6 single fin Lyle Carson board. That is next level.
It is next level. Have you seen any of her backup boards? Does she have similar designs in that same board? Do you know anything about that?
I haven't seen any, but I know that her last name is Eriksson. I expect her to make every single wave she goes for. So I've got all confidence in her as well. She's got it going on up against Keala Kenley, moving on from that earlier heat. So we'll see. The final's coming up, guys.
Right on, Dave. Thank you very much. And of course, you can see the age of that Lyle Carson board. Lyle Carson shaping a lot of the competitors' boards. Very unique, not only in the design of this very traditional gun that is really the same color scheme that we used to get from Roger Eriksson in all of his Waimea sessions. So the DNA is still intact, full on.
Kind of Big Wednesday-ish, if anybody remembers that movie. Very traditional, parallel vertical lines down the board, traditional shape and outline, lots of volume, which, hey, I'm all in on volume because that equates to making it easier to catch. And right now, catching and riding it's going to make the difference, right? She's in. She's moving forward unless something really drastic changes.
And one thing that I will say about the single fin is even though it is not going to be as fast as a design as you would have, say, the quads with a little wider tail, more planing area, it's going to go across the wall. This is going to have a nice pulled in tail with that single fin. The single fin is going to be around 8.5 inches most likely. But what it will do, it has a directional pinpoint. You're not going to get that wavering of a board because it can't find its track yet. It is definitely going to go down the face and it's going to go straight and it's going to give you that control. And that's one of the things in those steeper drops and in these windier conditions, that longer fin, if it does get lifted out of the water slightly, it's going to have that longer fin, it's going to have that directional balance, and it's going to land, and it's going to go straight, and that's something that is so confident that she carries. Why would she ever change?
Yeah, you bring up a great point. For people unfamiliar with board design and the relationship to fins, fins are not an afterthought. They don't make the board and then go, I wonder what kind of fin setup we should put in it. No, you design the outline around what that fin configuration is going to be. You mentioned it, single fin, more pulled in, thinner tail. It's not an accident. You design around the type of fin setup you're going to have.
You think about Emily Eriksson, she's had some great success. Second place in the Porto Escondido Cup in 2019. First place in Nell Scott Reef Invitational. Also this year, of course, last year here at Jaws, she had a third place finish. Fifth in Porto Escondido Cup in 2018. She's been on covers of Surfer Magazine, as well as Outside Magazine, Surfer's Journal. Again, second generation surfer. A lot of accolades already for Emmy Eriksson.
And an Eddie Aikau invitee.
Right.
So father, past invitee of the most, recognized big wave event, and the Eddie's still back on the maps and including women in it, and she has got herself a start in the main event.
Gotta love her style. 19 minutes and 25 seconds on the countdown, guys, and I love the fact that, Dave, the wind has continued to cooperate today.
Yeah, you know, it hasn't gone up to that next full Maui level. It does qualify for Maui Glass.
Maui Glass.
Maui Glass.
Meaning, well, you can see that flag right there.
Windy anywhere else in the world but Maui.
Well, I mean, this is what, 15 to 20?
Yeah.
Say?
Yeah,
15
a
to
light
20.
day on Maui.
Yeah, and generally your average wind here is 20 to 25. So that 5 miles an hour makes a significant difference. You know, you go up to that nuclear level of over 20, it becomes to a point where it gets a bit dicey. It's dicey now, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it's dicey already.
But it does go to a whole nother level in regards to that wind. And we saw that happen last year. You know, it got to a point where it got just too radical. And so we had to pull it out of here. And it was just too windy.
Well, and the wind is exactly why Maui and Ho'okipa in particular is the mecca for wind sports.
Yeah, you're right. Pete, you said it. If you only surf, you're going to be a crusty surfer on Maui. So you've got to have that wind sport in your back pocket. It blows trade winds here 80% of the time, right? So that means really 20% of the time is designated to proper surfing, 80% to wind sports. You better have windsurfing, kiting, downwind paddling, downwind foiling, something that allows you to stay on that water on the other 80% of the time.
Yeah, or you would be a very crusty, grumpy surfer.
Well, second place right now, Annie Reichert, and she is looking to advance into the final. She spoke with us before the competition started. We're going to catch up with her. Hang on right now for the catch-up. We're going to see if we have any takers on this wave first. And on the paddle, taking a look at that, Emily Erickson wisely pulls back as her positioning. Take a chance at another wave here. Scratch it into this one. This is Annie.
Oh!
Little fin drift there, and she goes down.
Wow. Hey, it's amazing she made it through the first bobble. She almost made it through the second one.
That was 100% effort, and she was not going to give up on it.
No. Hey, you know, one more thing I just thought of. So the wind's blowing, let's call it 15. Let's be conservative, right? The waves are moving at about 20 to 25 miles an hour, so they're creating their own wind. You add that to the apparent wind of the trade winds, you're facing about a 35 to 40 knot headwind when you're dropping in. So if you're wondering why the boards are flying up, as we just saw Annie's board fly up, it's because you are going into what feels like a 40 knot headwind.
And it's the truth, and it accelerates. As that wave steepens, it actually accelerates to even further. And looking at that, everything's okay. Looks to me. She's
looking back to see if her board's still in one piece.
And it looks like we had some other women getting caught on the inside. Michela and this first responder picking up there.
Well, nice to see some action. The way to go. Annie sending it. Michaela sending it.
And she sent it on this one, and she's taking the lead into semifinal number 2.
It looked like that first bobble kind of put her feet almost like her shoelaces were tied together.
I mean, everything was good here. The angle turned. As soon as you turn that a little too far, you get the drift.
Her feet really didn't slide.
What went wrong there, Pete?
Well, it's the wind. I mean, you're trying to control and flutter a 10-foot surfboard under your feet. It's not easy to do. She tried to do everything she could to get the angle down. I mean, you can see different techniques that happen. One of the ones is the tail tapping version, which we see from Kai Lenny. We see that from Billy Kemper. But keeping the board flat, once you put it on an angle, all of a sudden you're going to have to land and put it back down, and that has been done. We've seen Nick Lamb do it, but it is a bit more of a challenge.
You know what, Pete? We talked with Annie before this event about her worst wipeout. Let's hear what she had to say.
My mentality is when I go out there to survive the worst potential scenario. And I think kind of when you're out at Jaws, the worst potential scenario is either falling on a wave or taking one of those beasts on the head. And eventually, no matter how cautious you are, if you're going to push the level, you are going to get caught inside by waves. It's kind of inevitable. And so it's always in the back of my mind. And I think I've watched it happen to the best of the best. I kind of think it's inescapable at some point. And so, you really just have to, for me, all the training that I do, whether it's breath hold or running or cardio or just surfing out at, you know, my home breaks, it's really always something that I'm like keeping in my mind, like, you know, this is all going to help me for when that scenario or when that situation comes up where I need to be able to put every ounce of my training and every ounce of my energy to really, in this one scenario, to get out of it and to kind of come out unscathed.
Dave, you talked about preparation there, and preparedness on behalf of Annie paid off there. She was prepared for that wipeout.
Yes, that speaks to a recognition of fear and how dangerous this is, because that motivates you to prepare for that moment. That moment she referred to, though, that's a weight. That's almost like a burden you carry, because it truly is what your nightmares are made of. And it's a fear that can motivate you, or it can break you in some cases, literally break you. We've seen it break plenty of boards today, but fortunately all the humans have come out in one piece still. But it isn't such an intimidating factor to this whole thing that, yes, you're going to put hours, hundreds of hours into preparing for that moment so that you can survive it, not only physically, but mentally.
Well, and you talked about the mental breaking point. I mean, there has been friends of mine who were very accomplished big wave riders who had very nasty wipeouts, and were decisions that were made by that mental breaking point, going, you know what, this isn't fun anymore, I'm not doing it anymore. And it's a very mature approach to be able to say to yourself, you know what, this isn't fun anymore, and I'm not going to do it. And that's, like I said, I've got very young, good, accomplished big wave surfers that are good friends of mine that just said, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Risk reward. If the reward isn't there, you can't take the risk.
Oh, look on the screen. This is a massive set, and look at the blue jersey if we can get an eye on it.
Wow. There's that wind just tossing that thing like a toothpick.
That was Bianca Valenti's board. She was paddling as fast as she could to get over it, and she did. That's the technique too, is making sure that your board goes up and over the lip rather than just bailing to the side and having the wave take the board back over with the wave. So if you can get that board up and over and in the wind, it's going to flutter and go out to sea, and chances of not getting dragged back into the abyss much, much higher.
I would literally say she did not have one stroke to spare. She was right on the razor edge of making it over the corner or getting sucked back over. I'm sure she's extremely relieved that she made it over and is still outside.
And I was watching from up top here, and we've got a much better vantage when you look down on it like this. This is similar to this here. But she didn't get the sprint paddle start that I had mentioned, and it's because she didn't see the wave. It was, again, the wave had passed, she missed it. She had a look at it and then turned around and probably didn't see that wave was going to be coming as quickly as it was. And as soon as it cleared, that's when she turned the afterburners on and was able to get over the corner. That is the most frightening experience, is when you paddle for a wave and you don't catch it and you know there's the possibility of a wave behind it.
What's behind? And then that name, Jaws, comes into your mind, and the theme music starts to play, and here it comes.
So 10 minutes and 25 seconds. Annie out in the lead, Emily in second place, and the rest up for grabs. Third place and a place in the final up for grabs at this 10-minute mark.
Love to see a surfer who haven't had any rides from Bianca, Raquel, or Michaela. So if they can get to their feet, they'll legitimately move into that third position. If the scenario were to unfold where we don't see a surfer pick up those scores, as I understand, and we'll get Pat O'Connell to confirm, but the seeding would allow someone to go through. If, you know, you're high seed, Bianca being one of the high seeds here, that doesn't have a wave, she would be, that's why she's even now in that third position, because of her seed. So we'll try to get confirmation if that's how it unfolds, if the scenario, but I'd love to see one of these surfers get a wave here, and definitely some opportunity out there. It's just a matter of getting into that 5 by 5 yard box that allows you to slide into one of these nicely. That's the biggest and hardest part. I mean, you're thinking about it because a lot of the times you're surfing out here and there's going to be 50 to 60 people in the water, and they're going to be spread out through the lineup, and you're going to see, you know, who's who. Okay, there's where Billy Kemper's sitting, and you know, here's where Albie's sitting, and then there's a stretch of people in between. So you can kind of gauge yourself in the lineup of where you want to be sitting, but as soon as you take that element out of it, you need to have your lineups dialed into a T. You have to have that triangulation understood. What's nice about Maui is that there is that ability, because you have, looking down the coast towards Hana, there's the ability to line yourself up and feel out how far out you are. And then, of course, there's the valleys and the trees that you can line up to get yourself triangulated to know how deep you are in the lineup. But you have to have those points marked. And if you don't have a ton of experience, you could be out there blind.
So, Pete, I just got confirmation on how this goes if no one rides and gets into that third place position. It would be the highest ranked surfer from last year that would get that third place position. So you were right, it's based on seeding, and that highest place surfer from last year is Bianca Valenti.
And
so that's why you see her there in third place position.
Yeah, and that's a rule that I knew about. I just didn't know if it had changed at all over the years, but that was something that I know that the highest seed, even if there's a wave not written, so hypothetically, no one rides this wave, but that's why I'm saying for Raquel and for Michaela is that if they can just get to their feet at some point during this heat, they're probably going to advance into the final. You know, so this is a critical 7.5 minutes.
Dave, looking into the history of women in surfing big waves, do you have any, women that you thought made history riding big waves?
Well, last year's competitor, Andrea Moeller, is one of the old crew.
Right.
From the original women really charging Yahi, starting with towing, evolving into paddling surfing, and really establishing herself as one of the sort of female pioneer big wave riders here on Maui.
Yeah, and an excellent canoe paddler and foam paddler and stand-up paddler as well. It all goes hand in hand, doesn't it?
Yeah, water woman.
Water woman.
Proper water woman.
Andrea Moeller, yeah. I'm going to go with, going way back to the 80s. It wasn't on a surfboard, but it was on a bodyboard. Phyllis Dameron over...
Fearless Phyllis.
I got you right there, huh, Pete?
She had the same color top as me. And
oh, really?
Oh, yeah. We had years at Waimea over the years, and Fearless Phyllis.
Tell us about Fearless Phyllis.
Just a genuine, beautiful smile who loved big wave riding and charged it on a bodyboard at Waimea. And she used to call me Orangey because we had both orangey tops. She's like, oh, hey, Orangey, howdy, Orangey. Yeah.
That's cute.
It's pretty cool. You know, where is Fearless Phyllis?
Well, if we have
hopefully you're watching.
We're open for updates, but Phyllis Dameron, we want to salute you because I remember watching her skitter down 20-foot waves
at Waimea
on that bodyboard.
There's, for us, at least in Santa Cruz, we had Sarah Gerhardt was and still into it, who was able to get some massive waves at Mavericks. Nice set out the back here. Let's see if...
Well, here comes some massive waves right now. We just dialed them up. Checking the position of the women in semifinal number 2.
I know Bianca wants one of these. If she can find herself in a position, she is like Fearless Phyllis. Will do it. Get it done.
There she is. She's turning around, having a look at it. She's going to take a dig. Bianca Valenti looks over the precipice and pulls back.
I think that was a good read. She wasn't underneath it enough.
Just needed like another 5 feet or so in. Might have been in the zone.
Right, another opportunity here.
Whipping it again. Wave number 2 of the set.
That one moved in as well. Down to that 5 minutes, Kaipo. Still more waves out the back. And each time you put your head down and want it, don't get it, that's that. Do you tell yourself, like I just remember telling myself, "Good, what are you doing? Get your head down, do it." You have this self-talk, but you can psych yourself out too at the same time. So let's see.
Yeah, you almost get frustrated and disappointed in yourself, which can help motivate you to just next one I'm going,
Yeah.
No matter what.
No matter what.
No matter what I'm
That's
going.
what competition does too, you know, and it's the element that we were playing with here.
Annie on the move out in the black jersey. More waves hitting the reef here at Jaws. See if we have any takers.
Yes!
And
Oh,
That was Michaela going for it. And that right there, to your feet, she can just see herself into the final. Maybe. Still 4 minutes.
still 4 minutes. She's back on the surface pretty quickly, so that's a good thing.
Boards in one piece. And quick picker. Oh, get out.
oh, excellent work by our water safety.
Hang
But
on.
that ski got caught up as well. Now the water safety is going to have to save the ski and also be on the lookout for Michaela. We see Michaela's head pop up. She's clear.
Drivers clear. Ski clear. Now you do know that these things have hatches and seats, and they are all strapped down with meshing. So it can cartwheel and turn and go over and ride waves and still be functional.
Yeah, that's the reason they are the vehicle of choice. They are made to literally roll over, capsize, and yet continue to run by just riding them back up. And that's why they're such a valuable vehicle. The maneuverability, the sustainability of being able to get pounded in the surf, and as long as, like you said, the hood doesn't come off, the seat doesn't come off,
It's going to stay afloat.
you just flip them back over, start it back up, and you're on your way.
So no real true loss of the ski there. We have had those go onto the rocks, but that one, good driving to get to the channel to keep pushing it and let it float into the channel. So it went into safe water.
Hey,
But
Pete,
that
we
was
got
awesome.
scoring.
Michaela, moving up in the second.
Michaela got herself the 2.23, and you look, this is now where Bianca, if she knew the situation, now realize it's critical for her to find a wave here in this next 2 minutes, or else she's not going to make a final. So that 2.23 for Michaela translates into a 4.46, which puts her into the second position.
Take a look at it again.
Look at Michaela. They tried to suck it up, but once you get over the ledge and ride over the ledge, so difficult to keep that board directly under your feet. I mean, you can see here up in the lip, and
Yeah, just the nose being exposed is going to get lifted from the wind, detached from the water. It ain't good from there.
no, it isn't. But she came out into the channel, looks to be okay, but leaving Bianca Valente and Raquel Heckert needing to pick up a wave here in the next minute.
Whoa, taking a peek out to the horizon, there's not much coming. That might be it.
Feels like it is, Dave. And Michaela, the bravery to go and send it has gotten herself a berth into the final. She's pretty much going to be safe, I believe, being that she's in second position.
Down to just 35 seconds, and it looks like we are going to have our final set here for the women at the CbdMd Jaws Big Wave Championships. Maybe one more chance here, Pete.
Yeah, I just don't see this wave being quite big enough. As looks like to me that we're going to go straight into the finals.
Clock ticks down to make it official here. And that is going to be it. Young Annie putting on a show here. It was our first glimpse of her competition, but she's made the final. When we come back, we're going to be back with the men's final after this quick break here from Jaws. I hope you're strapped in because it's finals time here at the CbdMd Jaws Big Wave Championships. This is it. This is for all the marbles. And we have a talented crew. 6 surfers on the water. One's gonna be a champ. In the red jersey, Kai Lenny. In the blue jersey, Makua Kai Rothman. White, Ian Walsh. Wearing black, Nathan Florence. In yellow, Billy Kemper. And in green, Lucas Chumbo Chianca. Kaipo Guerrero along with Peter Mel and Dave Kalama on the call here. And this is a final that we have been anticipating, boys.
Well, look at this set to start it off, see who can get underneath. Of course, who's going to be kicking and scratching on the first wave?
Billy Kemper off to a quick start. Negotiates the drop. Long bottom turn for Kemper. Looking for the barrel, finds an exit. And Billy Kemper with a strong start right at the beginning of this 1 hour final.
Shots fired. And that took all of about a couple minutes. Well done, Billy. Boy, that's gonna give him a lot of confidence to push it even harder now.
Watch this, guys.
He's got money in the bank already.
Massive set.
Massive set. Taking a look at that. That was Ian Walsh. It is going to be Chumbo.
Oh.
Falling from the sky straight over the falls.
Hope he's okay. That was a big, massive wave and a massive wipeout. And there's still more behind it.
Nathan Florence taking a look at that one.
And Chumbo is taking a look at that one as well.
A little bit of a shocker coming out of the gate for him. That's got to feel a little different than the last couple heats.
What a start for Billy Kemper. His best wave so far in this event, by far.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that looked like classic Billy right there. Finals Billy, let's say.
Here's Chumbo with the pickup.
Packing it right out of the starting gate.
And the snatch by our water patrol. Just got to get out of the way.
He got ripped off, and it's so interesting. You know, you want to keep your board, you don't want it to go to the rocks, but at the same time, I mean, just that 25 yards of holding onto the sled, bringing you to the inside, and knowing that there's another set of skis to come in to pick you up. The confidence is there, but it is fatiguing. You know that that wipeout was really nasty for Lucas Chianca. Nothing that he hasn't ever faced before. But
we're going to see how he shakes it off, right? This is just the beginning of a 1 hour final, Peter.
Well, this is that training. This is the vision running through your mind when you're doing squats, when you're doing push-ups, when you're doing wind sprints, holding breath, that on down the line. This is what you envision. You know things are going to go south somewhere along the line. Are you going to be ready to handle it, shake it off, and get right back on the horse?
And that's what you want. You see how it's skipping across the top of the board, but every so often it could grab the tail. And that's what you've seen. We've seen it a couple times today where they've gotten ripped off the back of the sled. Nice work there, Lucas. Looks like he is dealing with the emotions, but look at this wave, David.
Wow. Mastery.
Just so comfortable out here. That's why he's a 3-time champ, Billy Kemper.
You know, first wave of the final, I mean, that was a massive wave. Did everything right, especially this positioning here. You see low road into the barrel. I mean, it's a high to low road. It's a very defined line you have to take. As Nathan Florence was mentioning about barrel riding out here, it's not an easy barrel as big as it is. It's not as easy as you would like to think in the line you need to take. Can this be? I mean, he's on his way already to going into a 4th title.
Well, I tell you what, when you drop the plan the day before, that's pretty much exactly what it looks like.
And this is what you don't want to happen. Chumbo.
In contrast, the start of the heat. I mean, in this same set, you have the ultimate start and the nightmare start. I mean, and he tries to penetrate here, but you know he didn't get far enough down. You hope that he went out and over, but he doesn't. He's going straight over the falls.
Well, he's free riding that.
What's that feel like, Pete? I think you've gone over the falls before on a 20-footer.
It is not something you want to experience. It's not something I would ask anybody to do on their own. It's something that But it's, how do you even describe it?
It's a calmness right before you know the world is about to end.
Explode.
Right? Because you're suspended in water, and it's almost zero gravity.
It's zero gravity.
So there's no pressure. There's you have a moment to reflect.
What are you reflecting on?
And you know the lights are about to go out, and when they do, limbs are going to get torn from every direction, and so you've got to try and pull everything in so nothing gets dislocated. But that anticipation of that moment of impact, ooh.
Yeah, it's something you can't describe.
And all of that for Chumbo for a 0.7. We're going to double it because this is the big wave event, so we're going to give him a 1.4 for his start. We're still waiting on the judges' numbers, however, for Billy Kemper, who has got 2 judges above the excellent range, 1 just below it, a 7.5, another 7.5. This one's going to be borderline excellent, but it's going to be a great start for Billy Kemper. And there you go, 7.83 times 2, 15.66 already on the scoreboard.
We've been very fortunate to be able to see Billy perform already this week in the Pipe Invitational, where he took a win. And you know, his interviews, he talks about how I don't care who you are, you can be my friend for whatever, but when the competition's I want to beat everybody. I want to do it in this form that no one else has ever seen before. He just wants to, and he has this desire more so than anyone else, it seems to me.
We got a new name in women's big wave surfing, Annie Reichert. She just won semifinal number 2, and she's on the boat with Dave Austin.
Thank you so much. I am very proud to be sitting here with the winner from the last heat, Annie Reichert. Now tell me, you had to surf today, but you had a long time. You showed up at about 5 a.m. You didn't go out till almost 2 p.m. What was going through your mind?
Yeah, I think partially that's a good thing, and then it's also a bad thing. You know, I showed up and I got, had hours to watch the surf and kind of study it and get advice from everybody. But at the same time, the longer you're out here, the bigger the the more the nerves kind of get to you, and the more you kind of start really, getting in your head. So it was just kind of, the balance of, of paying attention, to kind of what the surf is doing and timing sets and all that stuff, and then also just kind of mentally staying prepared for what you're about to go and do.
Okay, real quick. Pretty new on the scene, but lots of support from, in case you didn't know, Paige Alms and the shaper of the guy you're riding right there. That's got to give you a lot of confidence moving into the final. Where are you mentally going into the final now?
Yeah, I'm honored to be out here. I didn't really know what to expect. Of course, my goal was to make it to the final, and, I just want to go out there and give it my all and, push the limit of big wave surfing if I can and have a good time and, share the water with these inspirational people who are out here right now, from Kai to Paige to these people that I've always really, looked up to.
There you have it, another well-spoken big wave rider, born and raised here on Maui, into the final. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Dave. And Annie, really, really inspirational, riding those Sean Ordonez shapes, just like Paige Alms and Maui girl.
Yeah, I know. I actually had the opportunity to communicate with her mom yesterday in preparation for this event, and I know both of her parents are so proud of her right now, and I think all of Maui feels how I do. We all are proud of Annie right now. She's obviously very well spoken, such a pleasure to be around, and I think we all are quite happy that she's getting this level of success early on in her career.
Could be the emotional favorite as we head into the women's final following this men's final. To catch you up on the men's final, we've only had 2 waves ridden so far with 48 minutes and 35 seconds counting down on the clock. One, just a disaster for Chumbo. Lucas Chianca over the falls, but he's back out there regathering his wits. The other, brilliant Billy Kemper for a 7.83, Peter.
And if you were gonna, choreograph your heat strategy and start that sprint towards the finish line, Billy definitely pacing himself through those early rounds. Didn't put up huge numbers, just did enough to get himself through. And now he has put the afterburners on, which you expect from Billy Kemper. I mean, he makes the final. He's not pleased unless he wins, and right now he's on that road.
Yeah, no doubt about why he's here. And he comes in with momentum and rhythm from the events over on Oahu, like you spoke about. And those two things can build such confidence. And not that he needs any confidence. He's the 3-time champion of this event. He knows what to do, where to do it, and how to do it.
The challenger for Billy Kemper in this final is going to be the man in the red jersey. Kai Lenny's been looking on point as well. Kai Lenny just trolling through the lineup right now, looking for positioning and to get his start out here. Makuakai Rothman, you know he wants it. He's in the blue jersey. Ian Walsh has already won this event in 2017. We'll see if Ian Walsh can do it again. He's in the white jersey. You can see him on the screen. But deepest over in the red jersey is Kai Lenny. What do you think about the position, Pete?
I love it. I think that we should see these guys all be pushing it deep, because you know exciting stuff's going to happen after that. We know that there is a point of being too deep, but if you're going to be sitting and going right, you have to be on the right-hand side of the pack, because there is no priority. This is old school style. If you're in position and deepest, you've got priority to get the wave.
And Dave, how much do you think jockeying is going to play in effect in this final with no priority and 6 surfers in the water?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. I mean, trying to line one of these waves up with nobody in the water is difficult enough. It really is. I can't stress that enough, of how much commitment it takes, how much experience it takes to get yourself in the right spot. Now, throw in 4 other guys that are trying to do exactly the same thing, want the same goal, and want to beat you. There's no friends out there right now. And when you add that in to your positioning, it almost doesn't compute. It takes it to such a high level that you're not just dealing with the waves, you're dealing with other world-class competitors that don't care. They're out there for them right now. And even though it is a fraternity and there's brotherhood on the beach,
everyone wants to win.
Right now, it's you, yourself, and I.
Me is what it's all about right now, Pete. And what's it going to be like with these guys not taking off on their mark? They're getting pushed into positions that wouldn't be their optimum mark for that takeoff like Dave was talking about.
We touched on it with Ian last night, and in the conversations we had with him, you know, the psychology that happens when exactly this experience where Billy, we'll get back to that.
We'll get back to that, because we talked about Kai Lenny, how he's going to be dangerous in the final. He's up and riding, carving off the top. Brilliant control. Kai Lenny making it look easy here at Jaws.
Another one of those surfers who are pushing the limits of maneuvers, and he's designing surfboards for that. He said he's riding one of the shorter boards that are out here. Albie Layer was probably the only one that was a bit shorter than Kai's. This is a 9.4, it's a board that he's been designing with Ordonez as well, right? And again, it's designed for speed and performance. The thing has like a shortboard bottom on it. It's got a full concave through it. The thing's, as it drives on the rail, it's actually squirting water through concave, similar to a shortboard. So he's trying to get that extra speed, and it's showcased right here in this top turn. I mean, you see how he fades it, projected bottom turn and carve. I mean, that was a maneuver, beautiful rail carve on a 25-foot wave.
Dave, as we look at the replay of this, we'll get another one of Kai Lenny. It looks like he was able to almost roll into this wave on the takeoff.
Yeah, well, he's a master of placing himself exactly where you want to be. With all that experience, and I keep coming back to it, the windsurfing, the paddling. He's a world champion stand-up paddler, downwind. He knows the water, like, as well as anybody. And he is going to use every single bump, every little crease, every little nuance in that water to his benefit. And that's what's going to help give him that little push to get in just a half second earlier, which could make all the difference in the world, especially with the way the wind is right now.
Right. So taking advantage of some of this wind chop and actually be with those runners, or those glides, as you call it here on Maui,
Yep.
to glide into that wave.
Yeah, I mean, if you get a push by 4-6 inches, that can make a massive difference. You know, you're starting from zero, and you're probably trying to get up to like 10 miles an hour, right? And if you can get just that little bit of a push from water behind you, it gets you a few more feet into that wave, and that gets you under the lip as opposed to on the lip and getting projected.
Yeah, in addition to Kai Lenny, we have to look at Jamie Mitchell as a guy who's able to use some of the wind waves and runners as well to success paddling into big waves. Kai Lenny taking a look at that one. Peter, you spent a lot of time with Jamie, and have you seen that technique as well, using some of those runners to chip into giant waves?
I've seen the most influence in his design of his surfboard.
Here we go. This is Nathan Florence on his Paizel surfboard, finding a barrel. Great positioning for Nate Florence. So he's going to put a challenge to Billy Kemper. So we'll be waiting for 2 scores, one for Kai Lenny and one for Nate Florence, to give you the update on the situation. 42 minutes counting down on the clock.
So in design of boards, he's basically trying to get a board that's going to paddle as fast as he can possibly have. And coming from a paddling background, I mean, half the battle is catching the wave. And so his design, very low rocker in the front, very swooped, and a bit more rocker out through the tail. So once he gets up, he can utilize that rocker there, but paddling in nice and low, that helps you get into it. I mean, similar to what we're seeing right here, the Padillac. I mean, that's the name of this design of the John Paizel model, as we watch how easily he was able to paddle into that one. 100% of the battle, though, is the positioning in which it is. Yes, it's nice to have a board that paddles well, but being able to position yourself in the right spot. He's been getting this wave right in the middle of the reef all day long, and it's been paying off for Nathan Florence.
I mean, that really looked like a walk in the park for him. I don't know if it was the wave that was just kind of smoothed itself out by sucking it up, but he looked like he was in just perfect control the whole time. You know, he's doing the double hand drag a la Albie right there, trying to set up that end bowl, and I'm sure he would have liked to have been just a touch deeper, but he is in the pocket. You know, just a beautiful ride. And as one of his first rides, that's the way you want to come out of the gate, building some momentum, building some confidence, and paddling back out into the lineup knowing, okay, I'm in this.
Well, it does take 2 waves in order to win. You know, the big number already for Billy Kemper, but looks like Kai Lenny's going to get a reasonable number, as well as Nate Florence.
And again, to reiterate the format here, your top wave score is doubled. Your second wave score, we leave it as it is, and that's how you get your 2-wave total. Hence, Billy Kemper with that 15.66. Billy opened up with a 7.83. We doubled that score, and that's why he has such a large lead over the rest of the pack. However, we are still waiting for 2 more scores to drop to set the situation.
Well, Kai Lenny's probably going to get something around a 6 gauging, whereas Nate Florence probably a 1.5, maybe 2 points lower for him. But you think about it, those are the 3 surfers who have been able to accumulate great waves. As you look at the judging criteria for these big wave championships, the commitment, the degree of difficulty, intensity and size of wave, control and maneuvers. I mean, it's very similar to the elements that we carry over from our championship tour, but just changed slightly. And then you look at the scoring, we've got excellent, we've got good, we've got average, and we've got fair. No one wants to see yourself in this poor and fair range. You want to have all, but if you look at the double number there, the 10 times 2 is 20 points, and then if you get a 4.75, it's added to it, that's your heat total of 24.75. So you double the best wave. So if, yeah.
Perfect score here, 30-point ride.
When's that going to happen? I want to see that.
I mean, I'm sorry, to quantify a 30.2 wave total. You can get a 20-point ride, 2 10s. We double the 10, we leave 1 10 alone. 30.2 wave total. No one's going to beat you.
Unless someone else got 30. And then you go to the 4th wave, or 3rd wave, sorry.
38 minutes, 40 seconds. The scores have populated for Kai Lenny, a 5.83. We'll double that for 11.66. And Nate Florence in the black jersey, 4.1 for that pocket ride. He's holding an 8.2 in his scoreline. More waves on the way. And even though it is windy out the back, it could be much, much windier. The challenge here at Pe'ahi, we've actually picked a great day for competition here. Again, thank you to all of our friends over at surfline.com for their help on getting everything organized. And hats off to all the crew at the World Surf League, both on the broadcast and crew, to set this entire stage up and broadcast up within just 48 hours.
Pete, with all this math going down and 30s and stuff. I was just doing a little math of my own. We're about 6.5 hours into this, right? We are in the final. Nothing after this. It is time to empty the tank.
So true.
If you had anything that you were holding on to, now is the time to use it.
Well, and here we go.
Ian Walsh is going to use it, sending it down the drop. Handles that, getting hung up on the top. Is able to negotiate that bottom turn right in the pit for Walshy. Incredible ride all the way to the channel and showing why he's a past champ here at Jaws.
He is so ultra pumped because there was a moment when he was sitting on the top of that lip where he thought he was either going to go into the abyss or become a hero, and what did he do? He became the hero.
He had two moments, if I remember right. One a little bit to the left, one a little bit to the right, but he managed to stay on his board, thread the needle through that monster chasing right at his heels, and make it to the channel, and I think that's why he's so pumped and excited right now. And boy, is that going to feel good paddling back into the lineup, having that under your belt.
Massive wave. I mean, yes, look at that point too, where he was teetering, using his arm to keep himself stable up there in the pit. And the speed that you're carrying at the very apex at the bottom, sorry, not the apex, but just the bottom of that wave right here, where you're just thinking, please hold that nose, stay above water, and it does. That is such a good feeling.
That, if you look at his back arm, it kind of looked like the tail of a cheetah when he's running full speed, chasing the little antelope. That thing just swaying to the left, swaying to the right, and he's using it as a counterbalance to help keep him up. So
true. Literally, he is using everything he has just to stay on top of that surfboard. Look at this over again, tail tapping. That Chris Christensen just gripped to the face. Look at the front edge, gliding through each one of those bumps. I mean, you can see the spray and water falling off those rails. Nicely done there. Oh, that almost forward. You see that back foot almost came up. Oh, amazing stuff there from...
I'm guessing he likes that full deck pad right now.
All right.
He was hanging on by a thin thread.
Let's talk comparisons, guys. Billy Kemper's wave, a 7.83. Your gut reaction on Ian Walsh and that ride. Are we going to go north of that 7.83?
I am going to still say Billy's wave should score higher because it was more critical, maybe a little bigger, but God, after watching Ian's ride and how many moments...
It was emotional, right?
It was emotional. He dealt with so much so quickly to get to the channel that I almost am invested in him and cheering and going, come on, you can make it!
Let's take a look at Billy's. Here's the comparison. This is a 7.83.
I mean, that's a really, really big wave.
And barreled.
Yeah.
He almost made it look easy.
I'm going to have to, after seeing that, I'm going to have to agree with you, Dave, is that we were emotionally invested in this wave right here, but this is an incredible ride, Pete.
I would have to say that there's apples to apples, oranges to whatever. It feels very similar to me because what Ian had to do in order to complete that ride, whereas Billy was able to position himself to a point that he made it look easy, whereas Ian had to do everything he possibly could to get to the channel, and he did it. So it feels like they're very, very similar scores to me.
34 minutes, 15 seconds, still waiting for the judges' numbers for the last ride of Ian Walsh. Remember, anything over a 7.84 will take him to the top.
All right, so Ian's taken a big swing. Billy has taken a very big swing. I'm kind of looking to see if Kai Lenny's going to take it up a notch. He's gotten two waves, very smart, very tactical, but now if he wants to take this thing to the next level, he's got to hang it out there to dry a little more, I'd say.
On a major set wave, I agree. I think that if you're looking the way that Kai has been approaching this wave, he's been moving around the lineup, but he's not identifying, I'm just going to go for the biggest wave, right?
Yeah.
Whereas you feel like Ian and Billy, that's kind of their mentality, is if this is the biggest one comes to me, I am going to turn and go, whereas Kai does a more competitive approach, moving around the lineup, looking for barrels, looking for maneuvers. He'll choose different styles of waves, whereas you look at Ian and Billy, they're about the biggest and deepest.
Well, I think they're looking at what is Piahi about? It's about big, thick, gnarly waves and putting yourself right in the meat of that whole situation. And that's their focus, and I'd like to see Kai do the same to give himself a chance.
Another interesting thought is Lucas Chianca, who started with a horrible wipeout. See if he can shake that off in the rest of this final. Here are some of the numbers coming in from the judges. As high as a 7, as low as a 5.5 for Ian Walsh. So it will come in under the score of Billy Kemper. And there it is, a 6.03. Walsh goes to second.
So now we're going to look at, really, it's still up in the air. You know, I could just take one massive wave ridden and looking out at the lineup, there's definitely opportunity to see who can line up this next set.
Kind of a north set, a little further up the reef, but it looks like someone's in
Scratching into this one. This is going to be Kai Lenny gliding effortlessly down a giant wave face. Top turn for Lenny. And he negotiates that, but the whitewater just clips him on the corner.
All right, again, strategic. He did go for that big one. That was a massive wave, but because it was more of a north set, further up the reef, those waves tend to not have that end bowl, which meant, well, it lowered the ceiling on his scoring potential, and I think that's why he tried to make such an aggressive bottom turn and get himself up into the hook of that thing.
And we'll see where the judges in regards to the maneuver being mad here. But that, again, another massive wave here. Gets to that bottom and projects up into the wall. You see his footwork once again. As soon as he's compressed and got that extra energy, you see how he jumps back about 4 inches to get that extra maneuverability by going on the back tail block to get the maneuver done. Nicely done, but I mean, he's got the best footwork in my eyes. He moves around that board with such ease and glide.
Well, that speaks to his stand-up paddling. You utilize a bigger, wider board so that you can stand on it a little easier. But because of that stability that you build in, you have to be more mobile on your feet, getting from side to side. So I would imagine all his experience being a world champion stand-up paddle surfer allows him to be very comfortable with the footwork necessary to ride these big boards like that.
We are halfway through our 1 hour final. We'll come back with the conclusion and a winner here at the CbdMd Jaws Big Wave Championship.
Excuses. Yeah, they asked me where I learned to do this. Self-taught, checking things off my to-do list. Treat my temper like my family, I ain't trying to lose it. Say a little, do a lot. Woo! No excuses. I like facts, I don't like assuming. Take a shot behind my back, I'ma catch a bullets. Why the game looking at me like I'm just a tourist? Say a little, do a lot. Woo! No excuses.
Action everywhere. Here we go, Billy Kemper in a pit at Jaws. And Jaws got the best of them. On the roll in here, the action's going to continue this week. We still have finals day at the Billabong Pipe Masters in memory of Andy Irons coming up, and that could come up as soon as tomorrow. You want to keep your eyes peeled on WorldSurfLeague.com because it's going to be a big finals day at the Bonsai, Pete.
I can't wait as we see all of those scenarios unfold on finals day. I can't wait to watch the last 27.5 minutes of this final here. It has been unbelievable what we've been able to witness. What about the 10 from Kelly Slater at Backdoor Pipeline? One of the best and longest backdoor barrels we've ever seen.
Gentlemen, Billy Kemper just shot another one across the bow. And while he didn't make it all the way to the channel, boy, did he have a nice ride.
He really did. You know, that was way underneath. Look at this. I mean, committing to this wave. No worries. Right there, setting up the barrel once again. And now live action.
Nate Florence finding some shade, negotiating a big chunk of Peahi in front of him. And he's going to put another number on the board. Already has a 4.1, which we doubled to an 8.2 to his credit. So 2 important scores as we see Kai Lenny highlining through here, almost floating through that section and then kicking out.
It's turning into quite the heavyweight bout.
It is. I mean,
there's some big punches being thrown.
I love that wave from Nate Florence. Again, he's been choosing this certain style of wave that he's been eyeing up, and it's been unique just to him. Each one of them, they have this draw to them. They're barrels, you know, they're not these big, deep barrels, but easy drops for him, and then he's just been setting up the corners. I love it.
How's that little bit of arch back stylish just for a second, right when he's in the pocket, like, I got this.
Yeah,
right there.
Aerial view of it, making it look easy, and I think that's part of the steez of, you know, making the difficult look so easy, and that's what he's done here. He's just been right in the middle of the hurricane. It glides right through it. You know, in the middle of the hurricane, it's calm in there, right? So you're kind of just being able to get in that middle of it. And look at the technique in which he's doing the double arm drag, which is difficult to do because you're moving at such high speed, but you're also putting your balance all on one side, and you're actually trying to drag the wall. Yes, there's the friction there that you can kind of lean against, but if you hit a bump, you could just get knocked off really quickly.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Pete. When you have both your hands in the water like that, and they're on the right side of your board, everything is trying to pull you off to the right side, and you have to counter pull with that core strength in the other direction to keep yourself centered in the board. So while it is and can be very functional, it is very difficult to do at that speed because everything is trying to rip you off that board at that point.
And the pressure changes as you're doing it. It's not like it's one constant pressure because you're getting the ribs and everything moving against it. Ooh, both of them.
Ooh, look at this.
This is another massive set. I mean, the consistency has lifted once again. We had that little moment where it was quiet, the tide changed, whatever it was. But now it is full on.
Oh, look at this. This one's going to be a quick up and out for Makuakai Rothman. Dave, you seem delighted at the moment.
I am. There's great action going on. And wow, this is what it's about. Peahi in all its glory.
Maxing.
Women's
the
final.
Best big wave surfers in the world.
100%.
Going blow for blow on some of the biggest waves of the day.
Watch
this. It's really all culminating right now.
Watch this.
Ian Walsh on a giant drop. Walshy nurses that one off the bottom. Looking super in control, Pete. Mountains of white water right behind him, and Ian Walsh is feeling good in the channel.
Nicely done, Ian Walsh. Another kick out into the channel, keeping those survival points up. He hasn't had to take those big punches yet. He had them earlier today, but in this final, look at him, just a nice, smooth approach, feeling good about that last ride.
Remember, a 4.53 will take Ian Walsh to first place at the moment.
You know what? This is the fourth quarter. This is a few minutes left. This is when legends are made. This is when all the money's on the table and the big boys come out to play. And Ian is one of those big boys. Billy's established himself as one. Kai flirting with it right now. I'd still love to see him get one more wave like Ian or Billy's.
And then you got Nate Florence as well. I mean, Nate Florence just posted a 6.33. This is the second wave for Ian Walsh. We already have the number in for Billy Kemper. We'll wait for this score to drop, and Kaipo will give you the scenario, but it is very close in my eyes. You've got Nate, Billy, Kai, and Ian all in the mix. We have yet to see Makuakai or Lucas really pick up a solid one.
I mean, at this point, with 22 minutes left and a flurry of really big waves, we've just got to hope that the ocean maintains this level of delivery.
This was a 5.6 for Billy Kemper. This wave was enough for Kemper to put him into the lead. Although, Dave, like you said, he didn't make it all the way, but he did all that hard work, and the judges awarded him for that effort. 5.6, Kemper's in the lead. We're still waiting for the number for Ian Walsh. Ian Walsh now needs a 7.62 to take that lead from Billy Kemper. 22 minutes calming it down.
I mean, to Billy's wave, I look at that as a 75% completion. Obviously, you're looking for 100, right? But the fact that he made it about 3/4 of the way through the wave has to be factored in that score, and I think it was. They did give him a fairly generous score, considering he didn't kick out of the wave, but he did so much riding until that point. I'm glad to see it rewarded to some degree.
7.62, Peter. Ian Walsh needs to take the lead. We're still waiting for that number. Your thoughts on Ian Walsh's wave?
Well, I mean, I would say that it's not as difficult as his first wave, so most likely will come just slightly underneath. So not going to go into the lead. It'll pretty much keep him in probably that 3rd or 4th spot. So he's going to need a much bigger number if he want to walk away with this one.
Yeah, 4.33 last for Ian Walsh. He's still seeking a 7.62. Kai Lenny, 3rd place right now in the red jersey. Kai needs a 7.72. Nathan Florence out in black, he's in the 2nd place position. Nathan needing a 7.47. So Billy Kemper, again, looking the goods.
The finals.
Keep it on, keep it going.
Right?
Keep that gas pedal to the floor.
I mean, at no point would we have thought of today that Billy Kemper, other than past experience, you don't bet against the champ, right? But at no point did we see anything that indicated he was going to take this by the horns. And as soon as that horn sounded for the final heat, he did grab it by the horns.
That's what it counts,
I think he
right?
was pacing himself, guys. I think he was. I think this is all calculated by Billy Kemper. Just pace himself through his first heat, pace himself through the semifinals. Finals horn goes off, Peter, and Billy points it down the face.
And he can take what happened at that Pipe Invitational and use that experience as you know, build momentum through a draw. Any champion knows that that's basically what you want to see and how you want to have an event unfold, is to build momentum, you know, and as that, everyone feels it with you.
Another set arriving at Jaws. Wind continues to cooperate, but makes for challenging drops on every single wave. This set coming through in a more northerly direction. Not quite on the point that the surfers want to be, but the energy in the Pacific still very evident from this swell, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely, Kaipo. And as I look out towards the horizon, I see what sort of looks to be a north set. So that means there's a lot of variable kind of undulations that's going to happen before it gets to the reef. So it's really hard at this point to say where it's going to break. Is it going to be a tubing wave or just a big peak? But I think as it moves in closer and closer, it's becoming more evident that at the very least it's going to be sizable.
Trades just lifting up these wave faces as they escalate to 40, 50 feet, Pete. It's been a show here today.
It has, and that's why we're here. This is why this is the biggest paddle event on the World Surf League's calendar. It's why it's the pinnacle of big wave surfing. Yes, we know that Waimea was a major part of big wave surfing, but these boys here, Dave Kalama and the strap crew, Bette Lickle, Laird Hamilton, all of these guys rode this wave at one point, and then people said, is thinking, how am I going to figure out to challenge myself further? Oh, let's paddle it instead.
Kai Rothman launching into this one. Kai calm, cool, collected in the chaos. High line through there. And completion and a number for Kai Rothman.
I'm surprised nobody went on that second wave. That looked like a really high-scoring opportunity. Didn't open up at the end like some of the other waves you've seen that provide that really next-level scoring, but a big peeling wave nonetheless. It doesn't look like this set's done. There might be one or two more. These guys have really committed to the top of the reef, too.
Look who's running down the reef. Kai Lenny. What's he got for us? Oh, he's looking for a barrel there in that mid part of the reef. I mean, that's where those big major sections, as you see right there, that's the shallowest part of the reef, and he is sitting himself nestled up right on it.
Somebody's right on the peak.
Here we go. Ian Walsh, big drop for Walshy. Long line off the bottom, pulls high in the pocket, and another completion for Ian Walsh.
Well done.
Well done.
Way to be in the right spot at the right time, and you can see him giving thanks right there.
Number he needs, 7.62 remains, and we'll be waiting for the judge's decision on that ride.
We have a comparison already with Billy Kemper's first ride. Very intense drop for Billy Kemper, so I think that factors into scoring super high. Not that this isn't intense, but not quite as steep as Billy's. And then when you look at the barrel, just more up into the pit. So I don't see it quite going all the way up into the range needed. But I do feel like this is one of his better numbers. And if he can get himself above that 6-point ride, he's going to bring down the number needed in order to catch Billy.
I really like that bottom turn right there. He had so much speed coming into it, and when he initiated that turn, it almost looked like he accelerated down the line. Right here, just really nice control, eyeing it up. Where's he want to be? What's going to happen? Doing the math. You can see him do a little kind of check turn with his back foot, move it back a touch. Clean surfing for a big wave.
And very, very controlled, which is part of the criteria, right? I mean, so in defense of, like, say, the number for Ian's first wave is 6.03, there was moments of loss of control, which made it dramatic, but not necessarily part of the criteria, right? Whereas that control is part of the criteria. So I feel like this wave here should improve that situation for him, but we'll see.
That was some great insight, Pete, as we look at how we put together the numbers and the criteria in which the judges are given to put those numbers to paper.
And control is a big element. I mean, because you're dealing with the ocean, which is generally something you cannot control. So doing the best you can and getting to the channel with that control, and that's why it's part of our criteria and one of the elements of the criteria.
Yeah, I love clean, precise surfing, but to Ian's one wave that we all sort of got caught up in, there's something about the adversity and making it through that challenge, and then being faced with another little bobble, and by now we're invested emotionally into it, and you're rooting for him, and it's like he becomes the home team for a split second, and you're just like, go, make it, please.
Yeah, you're invested in it, and yet it was, again, there was a little bit of loss of control, whereas the best wave of the heat so far, the 783, was complete control from start to finish.
Yeah.
And looked as though he was taking over and actually surfing the wave rather than just riding the wave.
Yeah.
For Billy Kemper, I'm talking about.
So waiting for the last wave ridden for Ian Walsh to see what his requirement's going to be. One judge already put in a 6.8, so already improving upon his opening 6-point ride, reducing the deficit that he's going to need to catch up with Billy Kemper. A couple more judges agree as high as an 8, 7-point ride for Ian Walsh, and now his requirement, a 7.14, and Ian Walsh goes to second place, Pete.
Yeah, well, and looking at the judges, Judge 1 saw Billy Kemper's wave as a 7.5, whereas Judge 1 on Ian's wave saw as an 8.0. Very similar for judge number 2, a 7.5 to a 7.2, and then 6.8 was some of the lows, but I like the score. I thought it was definitely Ian's best wave.
Here we go, Kai Rothman hanging on top there before dropping down this face of this Jaws wave. Handles the drop. Confident surfing from Kai Rothman.
He's gonna definitely improve on the 0.4, but I don't see this being a wave that he would say get him into contention.
Yeah.
Nicely done though, very smooth.
Like we said earlier, sometimes you just need to get on base if you want to score, right? And that's what he did. He got himself out on the playing field. He's put himself in position to attack or to give himself an opportunity to have a chance, right?
Well, psychologically, that definitely helps too, just getting another wave under your belt. Again, he's not going to be advancing here. This is a final. He's trying to get the win. But I know that you're watching waves and riding waves out here. You just want to have makes, you know, so all of a sudden when there is that opportunity for that bigger one, you're going to have that much more confidence that you can make it. Because whipping on a 25-footer with all this wind it takes every little cell in your body to say yes. There's a cell in your body saying no, a little hesitation. You just don't want that at all. Every cell has to say, I'm in with you.
Yeah.
11 minutes, 25 seconds counting down. Last score from Kai Rothman at 2.43 does improve his position. He needs an 8.9 to take the lead here. And a little reminder in the corner, remember to watch the Billabong Pipe Masters, because we're going to have finals day when we return to Pipeline, maybe as soon as tomorrow. Check on worldsurfleague.com for that epic finals day that's going to happen at the beach at Ehukai.
You know, there seems to be a little lull in the action here, and we're picking this apart pretty well, like every little morsel off the bone. But we can't forget, this is Piahi. This is the most intense reality show ever. This is as real as it gets. And we've had some incredible drama, you know, citing Ian's one wave, to be specific, and the women charging and launching and sending it. And I mean, this is our Super Bowl, right?
Emotional, adrenaline, a big cocktail happening here at Jaws. We're going to be back with the conclusion of the final right around the corner. Back at Jaws, and it's Billy Kemper with another big drop here. Has to negotiate this large mountain of white water, and it eats Kemper up. This is the CbdMd Jaws Big Wave Championships, and this is the final, Peter. Kuiper Girl, Peter Mel, Dave Kalama in the booth on the call.
Well, you saw there, inflating for sure in this final. Trying to save that last little bit of energy. And look at the technique there, just letting the wave push him out into the channel.
Already dumping air out of the bladder of his inflatable vest. Just calm, he has a plan. Really efficient, Pete.
Very efficient. Yeah, again, this is part of the plan for Billy Kemper. He is understood. I mean, obviously huge success at this event specifically, a 3-time winner, trying to get his 4th on his way right now. He's 8 minutes away. Another huge wave for Billy Kemper. Not able to engage the rail early in this one to get that angle. You know, you start that angle early on this wave, you're gonna get, that's math as well, right? Being able to get that angle early, and you're gonna finish much closer to the channel had you gone straight down comparatively to, say, that 45 that would have gotten you to that channel quicker. And you're always trying to figure out what that angle is gonna look like in order to set up the next section. I like to angle my area and get it going early and starting to the channel early. But you can see guys like Billy, they're trying to wait off the bottom to set up the inside barrel, which is just incredible to me.
Yeah, it's a juggling act because you've got so much speed when you get to the bottom. The question becomes, how much do you let yourself run out into the flats to dump some of that speed, to get yourself back up into the face, see if you can get a little cover, and if the wave's not presenting that opportunity, dive into your bottom turn early, project that speed back up into the face, and see if you can do something aggressive off the top like Kai has done a few times today. So yeah, to your point, so much calculations going on of how you want to strategically attack this wave.
And it's all happening in just milliseconds, right?
Milliseconds.
In your brain, and it's the brain to be able to process all of that. I mean, it's crazy stuff.
Billy Kemper, 3-time champ here, 2018, 2016, and 2015. By far the best track record at Jaws, at Pe'ahi. And he's on his way to a 4th one right now, but not if Ian Walsh has anything to say about it, or Nathan Florence, both in 2nd and 3rd.
I mean, even Makua Kai, really. I mean, you've got all of these surfers. The only one who's in a quote-unquote combo would be Lucas Shianco, who can't get a 10.28 on one wave. But Makua can, as well as everyone else, just in one wave. So everyone's in it.
Let's take a look back at 2018, where Billy Kemper took his 3rd title here at Jaws. It was a brilliant performance by the Maui native.
One of the biggest years, as I will recall, for all of these events, and probably one of the windiest as well.
And you know what, when you're surfing and competing from Billy's position, it's in the lead. You are the hunted, not the hunter. That can be really difficult to protect and to operate from that position out in front, because you're naturally wanting to go into a protective mode, and you can't. You have to stay in attack mode. Whereas all the guys behind you, look at that, just packing that thing.
It's so incredible, and he's doing it once again. You know, looking out. Go ahead.
So to his credit, the fact that he is back in the lead, operating from what is probably a comfortable position, because I'm sure he knows where he is within this heat right now, if not being told, at least by his own calculations. And so that probably feels comfortable to him.
Thanks to CbdMd for putting on this 2019 Jaws Big Wave Championship. And when we talk big waves, we're talking big waves, Pete. Give me an estimate of the top wave size today.
55 feet. 50 feet. We'll give it that. Which is 30-foot waves, 25 to 30-foot swells. You know, on those bigger waves.
Anybody's game still, because this wave continues to pump this afternoon. Dave, we got a message from some of our forecasters that we're expecting a pulse, and that pulse is showing up right now. We got 4 minutes remaining.
It really does look like, I mean, especially if you look about 3 or 4 waves out, it looks to be potentially a significant couple of waves coming this way.
Very much so. This is a perfect end to this final. Someone is going to get their opportunity here. As you can see on the screen, 3, 4, 5 waves out. So this could be it. This could be the final. So who could put themselves in position? They're going to start jockeying right now. I see white and red very deep. That's Kai Lenny and Ian Walsh. Ian gone deeper.
And it still has a little bit of that north element.
This is a massive
there's
wave.
A lot of wall.
Massive walls of water coming through here, brushed by stiff offshore breezes. Positioning, jockeying, all coming into play this last 3 minutes and 15 seconds of the final.
Oh, this is it. Who is going to turn on this hero wave? Do it. Put yourself in the spot. Come on the corner. Couldn't get
Wow.
Massive wave rolling through. More waves still in this set remaining.
Who's in the spot? Anyone?
Here we go.
I mean, at this point, you're just riding in.
Kai Lenny gliding over some whitewater. The fins cuts through the foam. Lenny
That's
has to deal with a ton of foam on the face, some cavitation of the fins, coming dislodged up and down, having to ride that bucking bronco style to the channel.
Well, Piahi just showed us who's still in charge around here.
That's the truth. That one was a massive wave. That was the biggest wave of the final.
And you can do everything right, and those guys were just feet from being in the right position, but ultimately I think they probably made smart decisions. They were too far in, you know, and when you're staring up at a 50-foot face wave, it's hard to just whip it and go, what the heck, let's see what happens.
We see Kai Lenny there picking up. I don't think this is going to factor into his top two. You may see it marginally. I don't think it's going to factor in. Just too much foam on the face.
Just teetering with disaster, however, as he has to ride through this, Pete.
Well, and that's that foam. They talk about cavitation. You know, this is all bubbles he's riding over. So to have any type of control in that situation, very tough. So he's just trying to ride it out and keep that board angled towards the channel, which is the safety zone.
You know, it looks like not a set wave, but a potential scoring wave is moving in. I wonder if any of these guys are far enough in, or if they all chased to the outside to just clear that last set.
4.07 checks in for Kai Lenny. The situation remains the same. It's not going to factor in to the standings. So it's Billy Kemper in first, Ian Walsh in second, Nathan Florence in third. Down to under a minute, Peter, 57 seconds.
Looks like Billy. What do you call a four-time winner besides a four-time winner? It's not a three-peat.
It's a four-peat.
Okay. You're for Pete.
Pete, it's a four-peat.
Okay.
And we're about 40 seconds away from that four-peat for Billy Kemper. But the waves continue to pump at Jaws.
And you know these guys aren't giving up. They're hoping, looking for something. And, you know, this could be the last wave of the final here. It might be a breaking wave. Let's see if someone's going to whip it and go. Looks like that black.
Somebody's
Nathan
not-
Florence.
Nathan Florence on the paddle. Drops into this one. Still dropping to the bottom of the wave. Just on the cusp there. And I don't know if that wave had the 7.47 needed to overtake Billy Kemper. What do you think, Pete?
I don't think so. You got a four-peat. It's over.
Wow. So impressive, so impressive.
It's a feat that I don't think, as you see Billy there wondering, looking for confirmation, I'm sure.
I think he's realizing right now. I think inside his heart and his spirit, Billy Kemper is realizing that he is making history as a four-time Jaws champ.
Amazing. It is a feat, like I said, that it will most likely never be done again, because to be able to win at this break each and every time, you're escaping death. It's just an incredible,
It's hard to find the words to describe it.
It truly is.
Good sportsmanship there by Ian Walsh to go and give him some love and respect.
Again, Pete, it's a fraternity. So now everybody turns into friends and everyone can celebrate a big day at Jaws.
You gotta love it. I mean, Billy gave it his all. That first wave, that 7.83 to start off the final, really was. It felt like that was the spark that really solidified this legacy right here.
He set a tone. He set the tone right from the start. You want to beat me, you better bring not only your A game, but maybe even better than you've ever surfed before, because he came out swinging big time.
Historic accomplishment for Billy Kemper, your 2019 CbdMd Jaws big wave champion, and the elation as he hits the channel. Talk about a GOAT. Well, when it comes to Pe'ahi, Billy Kemper is the greatest of all time.
Undeniable. Congratulations, Billy. The performance was there. The amount of time spent to achieve this goal that he has done each day, every day, pumping the iron, pulling on the bands, weighing the food, everything that he does in order to make that machine tick at the epitome that he has it. Oh, just incredible stuff.
What a winter for Billy Kemper. He came in, started off in the Hawaiian Pro, the first jewel of the Vans Triple Crown of Surfing, with a great performance, but some disappointment there at Haleiwa. Moved on to Sunset, a place where he's been proven a winner before for the Vans World Cup of Surfing, where again, coming up short of his actual goal. Then we went to Pipeline, where he took over on the Pipe Invitational to take a win and be a very dangerous wild card in the Billabong Pipe Masters. I don't know if it was divine intervention, but he went down looking in form to Seth Moniz at the Billabong Pipe Masters, but maybe that gave him some time to focus right here at Jaws for a fourth title, Pete.
Yeah, the no distractions of being able to focus solely on the win here and how to do it. The visualization that he's had to have in order to do that. Talking with his coach, Kahea Hart, who has been working with him every day. Congratulations to Kahea and all of the hard work that you do just to get him up every morning and into the gym. It has paid off in a huge, huge way.
And it is a team effort. I mean, he finishes the deal with just spectacular surfing and decision making, but it really does take a team on that day-to-day basis. You need help raising the family, the gym, the sponsors, the travel, all the commitment it takes as an athlete to put yourself in this position.
The lucky charm, Matt Miola, these guys have been doing that since they're about 15 years old, coming out together to share this lineup. Matt Miola has been there for each and every win. So there you go, the team effort. That's one of the men, part of the Kemper team.
The Maui boys, when we look at the history of this event, are undefeated at Jaws, undefeated at Pe'ahi. 4 titles for Billy Kemper, 1 title for the master out here, Ian Walsh, but nobody's beaten the home team on this court, Dave.
You gotta love that. Maui just owning it. So proud of Billy, and I know everyone on Maui is, and congratulations to him and all of his team. Spectacular job today, just spectacular.
Listen in and feel the emotion from Billy Kemper.
That's pure, that is pure right there.
Hey. Let's hear what he has to say as he approaches the interview boat. Dave, let's catch up with the winner, fresh out of the water.
Can I shake your hand, Billy Kemper, 4-time champion of the Jaws Challenge? How do you feel?
I feel so amazing right now. I'm over the moon. I felt like I had such a rough dogfight all the way leading up to the final, and every morning I wake up early and I work hard, and these are every sacrifice I've taken away from my wife and my children. It's all for this right here. And Kahea, if you're watching it, I love you, bro. Thank you. This is ours. Wow, I don't even know what to say. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. This is my pride and joy. I leave blood, sweat, and tears out at Jaws. This is my backyard, and I'm very territorial.
That's obvious. Okay, I know for a fact Maui was backing you, but I looked at this guy, Billy and your mom were looking down, and it's shining on you in that gold jersey.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I bring my mom everywhere I go. I brought her out here today, and she's with me, and she keeps me safe. And my brother Eric and my mom, I love you guys. You know, I wouldn't be who I am today without them, and I'm over the moon. My brother Carl and my nephew up on the cliff, I love you guys. This one, this was a really special. That was a dogfight. I've had a rough Triple Crown. I felt like I was performing really well, but just had some rough heats, and I was really let down in some of the way things went. And what can I say, man? I did what I wanted to do. This was my day, and I told myself
when I went out there in this final, there's no way I was coming home with second place.
I just got news. They're allowing you to rename the break Billy's Bowl.
Oh man, this is a dream come true, man. I don't know what to say. I just, you know, hard work. You can't beat hard work. I've worked my ass off all year, and yeah, like I said, those sacrifices pay off sooner or later, and right there, it just did.
It shows. You've earned it. Congratulations, Billy Kemper, winner.
Congratulations to Billy Kemper, the 2019 CbdMd Jaws Big Wave Champion.
Gotta love the Michelob Ultra moment. Yes, Billy, you can't beat that moment. Congratulations, Billy.
Congratulations.
Show's not over. When we return, the women's final will be in the water.